I wanted to pet the aloof campus beauties. Cat. Late that night, I couldn't resist texting her. Hey, can I touch it? Just once. The campus beauty replied instantly. That is rather forward of you. But I wouldn't give up. I'm very good with my hands. One hand can stroke it from head to tail. I guarantee it'll feel amazing. She went silent. An hour later, she finally replied. One hand won't do. You won't be able to hold it. No way. I can definitely hold it. To prove my point, I immediately sent her a close-up of my hand. In the photo, my fingers curled slightly, half clenched in midair. I even picked an angle that made my fingers look longer. See? More than enough. It wasn't blind confidence. Her kitten was only 3 months old. It was tiny. How could I not hold it? Her chat status changed to typing. It stayed that way for 3 whole minutes. All I wanted was to see the cat, so I urged her. Then send me a close-up. Let me see whether it's gotten bigger. This time, Shen replied very quickly. I'm a traditional woman. I was confused. What does being traditional have to do with it? It isn't convenient at night. She's already asleep. That only confused me more. Don't lie. She must be wide awake right now. Isn't nighttime when kittens are most energetic? I suspected Shen simply didn't want to show me. After that, Shen stopped replying. Shen was famous in our college. First, because her stunning face put our college on the map. She won the campus beauty title by a landslide. She even topped a university's most desirable list. Second, for her famously icy personality. It had scared off countless admirers. Shen and I were in the same college, but different majors. Other than one large political theory class, we barely crossed paths. Texting her out of nowhere at midnight to ask about petting her cat. She probably thought I was incredibly rude. I'm doomed. I let out a deep sigh. Just when I thought I had no chance, my phone suddenly buzzed. Shen had actually relented. If you want it that badly, fine, but you have to come to my place. I'm a traditional woman. She agreed. I was overjoyed, afraid she'd change her mind. Okay. No problem. You can pet it wherever you want. I'll do whatever you say. The screen went quiet for a few seconds. When did you start thinking about this? Why was I so determined to pet Shen cat? Because that was my cat. Shen had kidnapped my precious baby, Little Sister. Little Sister was a long-haired tortoiseshell cat. She used to roam beneath my dorm building. She was quite a scruffy-looking thing. A black marking ran across her orange face, making her look rather fierce. So no one ever adopted her. Since she was female, I simply called her Little Sister. I cared for her since she was 1 month old. Vet visits, a nest, meals, I handled it all. But my roommate was allergic to cat fur. I couldn't bring Little Sister back to the dorm. I had planned to wait until I got my scholarship, then rent a place and take her in. But Shen beat me to it. She chose kidnap, don't shop, and stole Little Sister away. But a J-type never gives up. So I devised another flawless plan. Get close to Shen and lower her guard, then steal my son back. When had I started thinking about her that way? I thought about it 2 months ago, beside the trash bins under my dorm. I first met Little Sister. After a long while, Shen sent 3 words. Me too. My fist instantly clenched. What did that mean? She'd seen Little Sister 2 months ago, but didn't take her in. She watched me raise that child through every filthy mess. Teach her the litter box, get her eating and sleeping properly, then swoop in and take her. Wasn't that outright theft? She stole the fruits of my labor. Unforgivable. But I forced myself to calm down and told myself, focus on the bigger picture. I pretended to be friendly and asked, then we really are on the same wavelength. So, when can I come to your place and pet her? That night, after Shen said, this is moving too fast, she went completely silent. She didn't mention a date at all. That wouldn't do. As a J-type, I hate uncertainty most. I had to push her. First thing that morning, I filmed myself applying hand cream and sent it to her. In the video, my fingertips rubbed the milky lotion, gliding it into my palm. See, my hands are really soft. She'll be in absolute ecstasy when I pet her. The top of the chat repeatedly showed typing for almost a minute, but she sent nothing. Why was she doing this again? A bold theory came to mind. Could Shen not know how to use a phone? I decided to be direct. Could you film yourself petting her, just to satisfy my cravings? After a long silence, another message popped up. I told you, I'm a traditional woman. Was that an automatic reply she'd set up? I was out of ideas and didn't know how to answer. So I didn't. About 10 minutes later, my phone finally chimed. Shen had actually sent a video. My heart skipped as I eagerly opened it. But the video showed only a pair of hands. Prominent knuckles, long elegant fingers. Faint blue veins showed beneath cool, pale skin. The fingers flexed in midair, then slowly curled tight. They were extremely pleasing to look at, though her fingertips seemed to tremble slightly, as though she'd overcome an enormous mental hurdle just to record that clip. I was baffled. Why show me your hands? Was I the kind of guy obsessed with pretty women? I wanted to see the kitty. With no other choice, I went to Shen social feed. I dug up her old cat petting videos to save her. In one video, Shen had her eyes lowered. She wore thin, silver-rimmed glasses, her long hair draped over her shoulders. Her white shirt sleeves were rolled up twice, revealing her slim, fair forearms. She was a gentle, aloof goddess straight out of a novel. Her long fingers gently stroked the kitten's head. The next second, the kitten clawed her forearm. A clear red mark immediately rose on her skin. But she didn't get upset. Instead, she smiled and kept rubbing the kitten's little body. My roommate leaned in, clicking her tongue in admiration. She's so beautiful and so emotionally stable. I really want to be her cat. Do you think Shen Buyu might be a little masochistic? I paused the video on the scratch across her forearm. She was smiling even after being scratched. My roommate gave me a knowing smile. Maybe she is. They say the more cold someone seems on the surface, the more exciting they are once they open up. Sigh. I really envy her future boyfriend. He'll have it so good. My roommate's words made me understand why Shen Buyu hesitated. Carefully, I typed. Do you never bring people you don't know well to your place? Shen Buyu replied with a simple Case solved. Being so traditional, she must have firm boundaries. She thought we weren't close, which was why she wouldn't bring me home to pet the cat. I opened her social feed, carefully reviewed every post, and came up with a great way to get close to her fast. Clutching a paper bag, I went to the large lecture hall where Shen Buyu had class. She was reading at her seat, like a stern-faced ragdoll cat. Shen Buyu. She was visibly startled to see me, and her ears flushed pink. I stuffed the bag into her hands, grinning at her. Buyu, open it and see if you like it. She took it, warily glancing at the students around us. Her voice dropped several octaves. Are you sure I can open it in front of all these people? I nodded vigorously. Of course, open it already. She carefully unwrapped it. Inside was a little cat scarf I'd stayed up all night knitting. It lay quietly inside. Happy birthday, Shen Buyu. Afternoon sunlight streamed through the window onto my face. In its glow, I beamed brightly. Shen Buyu stared in a daze, the tips of her ears turning redder. She adjusted her glasses, trying to hide it. Thank you. The onlookers around us instantly perked up. Shen Buyu actually accepted a gift. The campus beauty's face is so red. I gave myself a silent victory sign. Plan successful. She owed me one now, and I'd even celebrated her birthday. That made us friends now, right? Time for her to let me pet the cat. I made it myself. She stroked the scarf, her gaze evasive. I really like it. I understand how you feel. The moment had come. I lowered my voice. Then, about what I mentioned last night. She turned her face away. I'm rather traditional. I need time. Next month. The corners of my mouth immediately fell. Seeing my expression, she lowered her head awkwardly. Next weekend. As a fairly cute, fair-skinned college guy myself, I decided to play the pity card at once. I looked at her with my most innocent eyes, gently tugging at her sleeve. At the next sunrise, meaning tomorrow, will you? Campus beauty Shen. As if burned, she immediately pulled her hand back. Okay. My mood instantly brightened, and I smiled at her. I'll prepare properly. She looked at me with resolute eyes. Her voice carried a reckless, resigned edge. So will I. I didn't get it. What did she need to prepare? On the way back to the dorm, my roommate linked arms with me, marveling aloud. Fang's you, did you know? A younger student once gave Shen Buyu a gift. Guess what she said? My roommate imitated Shen Buyu's stiff, serious manner. She said outright, don't try to bribe a student leader. She refused without even looking at it. She's so upright it's almost absurd. My roommate suddenly leaned in and waggled her brows at me. But she not only accepted yours, she said she liked it. I thought my roommate was reading too much into it. She simply liked the scarf. That was all. My roommate sighed, utterly speechless. Fang's you. You're not just unbelievably dense. You're an utterly oblivious straight guy. Poor campus beauty Shen. What was she babbling about? I didn't want to hear it. Little sister was all I could think about. Tomorrow, I could finally go to Shen Buyu's place and pet little sister. After not seeing her for so long, I had to make up for every petting session I missed. I was too excited to sleep. Curled up beneath my blanket, I remembered something important. I messaged Shen Buyu. Have you shaved her fur? If not, I'll shave her tomorrow when I come over. Little sister is a long-haired tortoiseshell. Her fur needs regular trimming, or it'll definitely get poop stuck in it. Shen Buyu seemed deeply conflicted. Isn't this moving a little too fast? Frowning at the screen, I told the truth. I can hardly wait. This time, she typed for even longer. So long I thought she'd fallen asleep. Finally, a message popped up. I've never done it. But for you, I can try. I'm looking forward to it. I was wondering, what was so exciting about shaving fur? When Shen Buyu sent another message, I've agreed to all this for you. Can I make one small request too? I bit my lower lip, my finger hovering over the screen. After 3 seconds of hesitation, fine. I was asking her for a favor. After all. Sure, she replied almost instantly. Can I call you baby? Why? She replied in complete seriousness. It seems people in a relationship like ours call each other that. What kind of relationship do we have? I stared at that line, my brain nearly overheating. Then inspiration struck. We were cat friends. Online, friends who share cat pictures with each other, often call each other baby and things like that, don't they? Enlightened, I readily agreed. Sure. Go ahead. She immediately sent a flower sticker, the kind older people use. Who knew where she'd found it? It read, "May happiness last forever." Such a silly sticker. She had to be joking. My goal achieved. I was ready to end the chat. If there's nothing else, good night. See you tomorrow. Just as I put my phone down, a voice message came through. I opened it, and her clear voice slipped into my ears, as if she were speaking right behind my ear. Good night, baby. See you tomorrow. Following the address Shen gave me, I arrived outside a villa. This was ridiculously luxurious. I took a deep breath and pressed the doorbell. The front door opened, and Shen stood inside. Her hair was half dry. She wore a white nightgown. Without her usual glasses, the contours of her brows and eyes were clearer. Her eyelashes were long. She seemed softer than usual. I stared blankly. She rubbed her hands together uneasily. My parents are abroad on a research trip, so she was home alone. She handed me a pair of white cat slippers. They were fluffy, matching the black pair on her feet. I was about to bend down, but she sat on the little stool by the door first. Let me help you. No need. Before I could finish, her nimble fingers had already untied my shoelaces. Her neckline fell slightly open as she moved. I accidentally looked inside. A deep, delicate curve briefly came into view, then vanished into the folds of her clothes. Pink, THDHDH this. I sharply turned away, my ears burning. I looked away. So. Can I pet her now? She murmured yes, and I could barely contain myself. Where should I pet her? Where would you like to? I'm fine anywhere. The living room sofa. Then, getting straight to the point, I plopped down. I rubbed my hands excitedly. Bring little sister out. Shen lightly cleared her throat, her ears faintly red. Her expression was solemn. They're not small. What did that mean? Was she saying she'd raised little sister very well? As I wondered, Shen solemnly closed every curtain in the living room. Then she turned on the dim amber mood lights. The entire room was bathed in hazy, suggestive light. I didn't understand, but I respected it. She walked to the sofa and took a deep breath. As if making up her mind, she sat beside me. The neckline of her robe slipped slightly open as she moved. She leaned back against the sofa, raising a hand to cover her eyes. Her dark hair was still damp, and she looked as though she had offered herself up for the taking. I froze. This was what she called traditional. She waited, but nothing happened. Unable to help herself, she lowered her arm. Her eyes looked over at me, glistening. Aren't you going to start? I was completely dumbfounded. Just bring little sister out already. How am I supposed to start if you don't bring her out? Shen went rigid, shock and helplessness flashing in her eyes. Finally, as if gathering immense resolve, she tremblingly reached to untie her robe belt. I covered my eyes in fright. Shen what are you doing? She struggled to say it. The words came out in broken fragments. Weren't you going to touch me? Pet her. I got it. I finally got it all. All this time, whenever I said I wanted to pet the cat, she thought I meant I wanted to pet her, and she agreed to it. No, was that kind of outrageous request something you could just agree to? I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. What I wanted to pet, from beginning to end, was the cat. The world went still. Shen looked like she was about to shatter. Yet her shy, flustered look, compared to her usual cool reserve, somehow made her seem much more alive. I leaned toward her crimson face, unable to contain my curiosity. Shen if you misunderstood me, why did you agree? Shen fell silent. She grabbed the cashmere throw from the sofa, wrapping herself up like a cocoon. Only half her flushed face showed. She put on her glasses and looked at me resentfully. It made me feel guilty. You really don't know. I tried hard to recall our meager history together. She was usually so pure and upright, almost unnaturally so. Yet now she looked unable to say it. An absurd thought surfaced. Hesitantly, I leaned close and whispered in her ear. Are you a pervert? Shen eyes widened as she stared at me in disbelief. Eye. Stunned for ages, she finally buried her face in the blanket and admitted in humiliation. Yes, I am a pervert. I immediately felt sorry for her. I suppose being a proper can make anyone snap. Being that proper all the time must be exhausting. I quickly reached over and patted the blanket bundle, trying to comfort her. It's okay. Being a pervert is okay, too. As long as you don't hurt anyone. It's your personal freedom. I completely understand. By the way, where's little sister? The moment it left my mouth, I caught the double meaning and quickly clarified. The cat. I mean, where's the cat you found? Shen slowly turned around, blanket and all, then went into the bedroom and retrieved the cat. Little sister fought desperately in her arms, all four legs kicking wildly. Defiance radiated from every inch of her. But the instant she saw me, she switched to a sugary little voice. She softly jumped into my arms. You're still daddy's good little girl. Little sister, I missed you so much. I buried my face in her soft little belly and took a deep breath. She smelled of sunshine and cat food. I had to admit, Shen had cared for her wonderfully. Little sister had clearly gotten much rounder. Her fur was sleek and glossy. Shen stood beside us, watching little sister rub herself all over me. She swallowed, looking conflicted. HMPH. I felt smug. Face reality. Shen Buyu. The one little sister doesn't love is just the stepmom. Little sister has loved me most from the very beginning. I pressed my advantage, devoting myself to putting on a loving father-daughter act with little sister. I patted her rump, smoothed her fur, and scratched her chin. As I scratched, I suddenly remembered Shen Buyu saying that she could shave there too. Maybe she really was a little perverted. Petting a cat feels good. Petting one non-stop feels even better. Before I knew it, night had fallen. Unwilling to leave with the cat in my arms, I sidled up to Shen Buyu. I've heard perverts aren't really suited to owning cats. Shen Buyu choked on my words. She looked at me with complicated eyes. So I came clean. Actually, I've been caring for little sister all along. My dorm just didn't allow pets before. Now I've saved enough to rent my own place. After spending time together these past few days, I thought Shen Buyu seemed pretty reasonable. I looked up at her pleadingly. Could you give little sister back to me? No. Shen Buyu refused without hesitation. She stood and took off the blanket. Her tall, slender figure was a feast for the eyes. She calmly laid out her case. I got her all her vaccinations. She has an official file at the veterinary hospital, legally and factually. As long as I don't voluntarily give her up, her legal custody belongs to me. I was left speechless. Shen Buyu adjusted her cuffs and slowly approached me. Perhaps we can raise her together. I agreed to raise the cat with Shen Buyu. At a cafe, we sat across from each other. Shen Buyu looked at me gravely. Let's rent a place together. I blinked, confused. But don't you have a villa? And it's right next to campus. Shen Buyu stirred her coffee, utterly serious. That's unrelated. I need my own space, away from my parents, to treat my psychological issues. But I took one of your father's electives. Professor Liu is so gentle and open-minded. Shen Buyu lowered her gaze and turned her face away, hiding her expression. It's an act. Like me, he's been repressing himself for too long. My family has a hereditary pervert streak. I reluctantly believed her. All right, but I'm a respectable person. Try to keep your perversions under control. Okay, or I'll expose you on the campus confession page. She adjusted her glasses. Her eyes behind the lenses brimmed with amusement. I'll try. For little sister's sake. I gritted my teeth and moved in with Shen Buyu. Still, I was somewhat wary of Shen Buyu. After moving in, I holed up in my bedroom with little sister in my arms, keeping my guard fully up, but she actually used food to pry open my door. Little sister, dinner. She made an extravagant meal for the cat and called little sister out to eat. Then she looked at me, her tone easy and kind. I made you dinner too, though I don't know if it's to your taste. I glanced over. Sweet and sour ribs, steamed egg with crab sticks, and braised crucian carp. Every dish was a favorite of mine. It smelled so good, I couldn't walk away. After dinner, I felt a little embarrassed. I'll do the dishes. Shen Buyu's tall figure blocked the kitchen entrance. No need. I can't just eat for free. Then keep me company while I cook. Preparing meals alone. Of course, it's fine if you don't want to. I understand your concerns. I want to. From then on, whenever she cooked, I kept her company from the living room while playing with the cat. She chopped vegetables, and I petted the cat. She stir-fried, and I kept petting the cat. Oil sizzled in the pan as she worked quietly, focused. Little sister purred in my arms. Sometimes she came out, offering me a spoonful to taste and asking how it was. Amid the aroma of home-cooked food, I slowly let down my guard. When Shen Buyu cooked, she was incredibly wife material. It was incredibly attractive. Shen Buyu would definitely make a wonderful mother someday. AWW. I want to be her child too. I'd be so happy. But Shen Buyu seemed to have no luck with kids. Even after doing all that, little sister still wasn't affectionate with her. She only liked me. She hissed whenever she saw Shen Buyu, only when she was curled up asleep in my arms. Could Shen Buyu come close enough to pet her a couple of times? Shen Buyu's fingers were long and slender, her knuckles distinct. They hovered in the air for a moment before settling down with the lightest touch. She was clearly petting the cat, yet her eyes stayed on me. I really like you. I didn't know whether she meant the cat or me. Once she relaxed, little sister began patrolling the whole apartment. But I was the same as always. Other than meals and chatting with her in the kitchen, I locked myself in my room the rest of the time, burying myself in my thesis. I was getting a headache over a mountain of research papers when Shen Buyu's voice suddenly rang out from the living room. Little sister. No, I'd never heard Shen Buyu sound so panicked. I rushed out immediately. The sight before me was a disaster. An overturned ink bottle had left black paw prints blooming across the floor. Little sister was covered in black ink and was tracking it all over the floor. No one could possibly tolerate this. I rolled up my sleeves. This little brat is getting a spanking today. Shen Buyu stepped sideways and caught my wrist. She's still young. She doesn't know better. You spoil her too much. Indulgent mothers raise spoiled children. She handed me a cup of tea, a faint smile in her eyes. Calm down. I wanted to take that little menace out for a bath, but Shen Buyu stopped me. Cammy has been blacklisted by every pet shop nearby, so the two of us went into the bathroom together. In the bathroom, Shen Buyu changed into a white t-shirt and black pants, then tied on a dark gray apron. The straps were neatly tied behind her waist, outlining every curve of her figure. We're only bathing a cat. Need to dress so formally. I was in pajamas, brimming with confidence. Little sister and I are best friends. She'll definitely behave for her bath. But the second little sister saw water, her fur stood on end. She burrowed straight into my arms. I held her against my chest and soothed her gently. Don't be scared, little sister. Baths feel nice. Little sister hooked her claws into my collar, pressing her head into my chest. Shen Buyu's glasses fogged up as she turned her face away. A light blush crept over her ears. Without thinking much of it, I urged Shen Buyu. Pour some water on her. Let her get used to it first. Only then did Shen Buyu snap out of it. Stiffly, she cupped some warm water and gently poured it over little sister's tail tip. The kitten jolted, launched herself away, and sent water flying everywhere. Shen Buyu reacted quickly and snatched her back, grabbing little sister by the scruff of her neck. She held the puffed-up cat firmly against her chest. I'll hold her. You wash her. I scooped up water to rinse her, but little sister suddenly sprang away. Not a single drop from the scoop went to waste. It all landed on Shen Buyu. Shen Buyu's white t-shirt was instantly soaked through. If the apron hadn't covered her, I probably would have seen that pink again. When I realized what I was thinking, my ears burned. Shen Buyu looked down and firmly held the cat, trying to take flight. Don't move, little sister. Let your dad wash you. I hurried over, squeezed out shampoo, and rubbed it over the cat. Our heads were almost touching. Our breaths mingled in the damp air. We were both soaked, water dripping from our hair. I couldn't tell sweat from water. The heat left me breathing softly. After much effort, we got that little menace into the drying box. Exhausted, we collapsed side by side. Her breathing was slightly uneven as her gaze wandered elsewhere. She just wouldn't look at me. When I looked up, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. My clothes were soaked, and I was dripping wet and out of breath. Silently, Shen Buyu untied her apron. The soaked apron fell away. She immediately pulled on a bathrobe. A flash of pink hit my eyes. My eyes went wide. Blushing, I quickly looked away. Just as she put on the robe, she suddenly froze. As if recalling something, she looked at me. She must have noticed that I'd accidentally seen her. Panicking, I tried to stand, but my foot slipped. I landed squarely on the cat towel. I fell backward, and Shen Buyu tried to catch me. Instead, we both tumbled onto the sofa. Slightly flustered, she lowered her head. Her nose brushed the hair by my ear, her breaths heavy and hot. Fang's you. Her voice was impossibly husky. I tensed without meaning to and grabbed her bathrobe. I nearly pulled it open. The next second, Shen Buyu suddenly came to her senses. She let go of me and yanked open the glass bathroom door. Then she fled. After that day, my feelings for Shen Buyu became something more. The more I looked at her, the more perfect she seemed. Whenever I closed my eyes, I saw that moment again. She was practically the perfect girlfriend by nature. She had a great body and absurdly steady emotions. Even after little sister clawed and bit her, she still opened cans of food for her without holding a grudge. Stop thinking about it, Fang's you. Go to sleep. I buried myself under the covers. But in my dream, I was back in that steamy bathroom. I pressed her against the wet wall and whispered stubbornly, I want to touch you. She gripped my wrist. No, you won't let me touch you? Then I'm leaving. The next second, Shen Buyu caught my hand. She turned the tables, pinned me against the wall, and looked up at me. Don't regret it. She stared at me, her gaze growing more heated. She took my hand and pressed it there. Her cleavage was sharply defined, hot beneath my palm. So soft. She chuckled softly and guided my hand lower. Here is even softer. I jolted awake. Sitting upright in bed, I was drenched in hot, embarrassed sweat. Dawn was barely breaking outside. My face was burning. I silently got up and changed into clean pants. I'm done for. I think I've become a pervert too. Why was I craving her body every time I opened or closed my eyes? After my shower, I came out trailing steam. Of course, my worst fear came true. Shen Buyu was reclining on the sofa. She looked nothing like her usual prim, proper self. She wore only a thin dress. There was something about that dress. Under certain lighting, it looked like she wasn't wearing anything at all. The light was dim and golden. Shen Buyu's dress was nearly transparent, clinging tightly to her curvaceous figure. As I stared, she suddenly looked up and met my gaze. The faintest smile touched her lips. My heart skipped a beat. A black blur suddenly darted past. Little sister was chasing a cicada that had wandered inside. The next second, she launched into a flying kick, landing squarely on Shen Buyu's chest. Shen Buyu let out a pained little moan. The fabric was so thin that the cat's claws tore through it at once. Red scratches stood out sharply on Shen Buyu's skin. She covered her chest, her voice carrying frustration at her ruined plan. Little sister, you're going into timeout today. I hurried over. I'll put some medicine on it. Shen Buyu didn't refuse. She pulled her neckline down slightly, revealing the wound. The curve of her cleavage was fully exposed beneath the light, so pink. I swallowed hard. I dipped a cotton swab in iodine, then gently dabbed the wound on her chest. She suddenly tensed. I lowered my head and gently blew on it. Does it hurt? If you keep staring, hurting won't be the only thing. Just then, little sister wandered back and rubbed against my foot. My face burned, but I pretended to be calm. Weren't you going to put her in timeout? Shen looked at little sister, her gaze softening. No timeout. I'll buy her canned food as a reward. That night, I woke little sister up. Tell me, does your mom like me? Little sister rolled over and ignored me. Heartless cat. Shen filled my thoughts. Other than being a little perverted, she was nearly perfect. Great body, good cook, emotionally stable. She tolerated little sister and treated me wonderfully too. But what if I was just imagining things? If she liked me, she'd confess, right? I had to leave for a competition. Before I left, Shen stood at the door, like a wife sending her husband off on a journey. Fangs, you, come back early. There's something important I need to tell you in person. My heart jolted. What is it? She adjusted her glasses, her tone gentle. I'll tell you when you get back. I agreed, my heart itching as though scratched by a cat. What did she want to tell me? The competition went smoothly, and I won first prize. There was a sizable cash prize too, but I couldn't go back to Shen. My teammates dragged me out to celebrate, and I couldn't refuse. I had a drink. I'm a lightweight. One drink gets me tipsy, but the tipsier I get, the calmer I look. My phone buzzed. Shen had sent a message. It was a photo of little sister with her paws tucked beneath her. She looked deeply miserable. Come home. Your child misses you. I smiled at the photo, my heart melting. Another message came through. I miss you too. I made my way home on slightly unsteady feet. When I opened the door, little sister was the first to rush over. She rubbed against my leg. I picked her up and sat on the sofa. I picked up the cat teaser beside me, waving it absent-mindedly. I sneezed. When I looked up, I finally noticed Shen had filled the living room with flowers. Shen stood amid the flowers in a white dress. Her figure was graceful. She held a velvet box in her hand. As though she had gathered all her courage, she walked toward me step by step. Fangs, you. Congratulations on winning. The alcohol had slowed my reactions. I teased little sister with the cat wand, while gazing hazily at Shen. What was she rambling on about? I couldn't hear her. I could only see the lights dancing in her eyes. Her face was so beautiful, it hardly seemed real. Her lashes were long. Her nose was elegantly straight. Her lips looked very kissable. Alcohol gave me courage. Using the feather on the cat wand, I lightly traced down her neck, inch by inch. It passed over her collarbone, then finally brushed her chest. That absurd dream suddenly flashed through my mind. In that dream, she had let me do whatever I wanted to. Fangs, you. The corners of Shen eyes reddened as she endured it, but she gritted her teeth and stayed still. She let me have my way. The cat wand continued lower, gliding over her slim waist. Shen gave a muffled groan and gripped the velvet box tighter. Yet she still didn't move. The cat wand in my hand didn't stop. It continued downward. Shen crouched before me and stroked little sister's head. Then she looked up at me. Light fell into her eyes, bright enough to burn. She lowered her voice. Fangs, you. Will you be my boyfriend? Still dazed, I tried to tickle her with the cat wand again. She reached out and gently took the other end of the wand. Say yes, and I'll let you continue. My head was foggy. I only noticed that the kitten was gone, so I shook my head. Shen stiffened, and the light in her eyes dimmed. I understand. I'm sorry. Silence fell. Shen looked carefully at me and noticed something was off. Fangs, you. Who am I? I stared blankly at her lovely lips and blurted out, You're a kitty. She seemed to understand, and her eyes lit up again. Taking my hand, she gently pressed it to her cheek. She coaxed me softly. Then, do you want to kiss the kitty? Yes. I leaned in and touched my lips to hers. So soft. Then I pulled away at once. Unbelievable delight filled Shen eyes. She rose onto her toes and kissed me back, deeper and harder. Our breaths tangled, scorching hot. At last, dizzy, I stepped back. Kitties aren't allowed to bite people. The next morning, I woke feeling refreshed. I'd had an especially wonderful erotic dream last night. It felt incredibly real. What a jackpot. I grinned foolishly while brushing my teeth. The person in the mirror had smiling eyes. Just after washing up, I opened my door and nearly ran into Shen. How long had she been waiting outside? You're awake? Shen handed me a warm glass of sugar water. Her gaze was scorching. Did you sleep well? After having that kind of dream, my eyes darted away. I didn't dare look at her. Not bad, but I didn't sleep well. Why? Because someone kissed me, then fell asleep. It wasn't a dream. The memories came rushing back. I was so embarrassed I wanted to flee the planet overnight. I was drunk. And are you sober now? Why, yes. She leaned close, her nose nearly touching my lips. Do the things you said last night still count? I didn't remember saying anything at all. I was drunk. Drunk enough to hold on to me and refused to let go. Saying you loved kissing me. I never said that. She lifted a hand and stroked the top of my head, as if smoothing a cat's fur. That's okay. I'll say it instead. Fangs you. I really like you. I froze, my heart pounding like a drum. When did it start? I told you. 2 months ago. Shen Buyu hadn't lied to me. Her father really was a bit unhinged, with an extreme need for control. 2 months earlier, after Shen Buyu had fought with her father in the hallway, she suppressed her anger and pushed open the back door to a political theory lecture. She was already nearly 20 minutes late. The elderly professor at the podium adjusted his glasses. More than 15 minutes late counts as an absence. Your participation grade will be deducted. Shen Buyu's mood sank to rock bottom. It was the first time she'd ever been late to class. Just as she was about to force herself inside, a bright voice sounded behind her. Oh, then professor, I'll come back next class. She turned around. The boy who was late as well had slightly messy hair. There was a smudge of dust on his cheek. Cat fur clung to his clothes. He looked a little bedraggled, but his eyes shone with startling brightness. After saying that, he turned and left without hesitation. There wasn't a trace of embarrassment at being scolded. On an impulse, Shen Buyu spoke to the professor too. Then I'll come back next class too. The professor had probably never seen students so boldly skip class as a group. For a moment, he didn't know how to react. Hearing her, the boy turned around. He gave her a slightly surprised look. In that single glance, Shen Buyu saw the pure light in his eyes, and that defiant air of, even if the sky falls, I'll still do things my way first. The two left the classroom one after the other. She watched him run off with light steps. Like a gust of wind she could never catch, her phone buzzed again. It was her father. Shen Buyu watched his disappearing back, and some of the suffocating anger in her chest suddenly faded. She answered, her tone firmer than ever. I'm not going abroad, and I won't apply for that program either. She hung up. Those impossibly bright eyes still filled her thoughts. So vibrant, so free, so unlike her. Then, one evening, Shen Buyu passed through the alley behind the men's dormitory. A tiny tortoiseshell cat with an obvious bad temper was hissing fiercely at a dog much bigger than itself. The moment it swiped a paw, the dog bared its teeth, and the cat instantly lost its nerve. It darted toward Shen Buyu in a flash, hiding precisely behind her legs. Only its multicolored little head peeked out. The dog must have lost interest. It barked twice, then left. Shen Buyu looked down. The kitten looked up at her too. The black markings on its face made it look both fierce and aggrieved. She remembered the smudge on the boy's face that day in political theory class, and his sparkling eyes. For some reason, this cat reminded her of him. She crouched and held out her hand. The little thing watched her warily for several seconds. Perhaps it figured she protected it from the dog, and was probably trustworthy. Hesitantly, it rubbed its tiny head against her fingertips. It was so soft. Her heart softened with it. Just as she reached to pet it, the little creature suddenly turned on her. It scratched her with one paw. Shen Buyu looked at the red mark on the back of her hand. The anger in her heart eased a little more. Now you have to take responsibility for me. She scooped the cat into her arms. After taking it for a checkup, she found it perfectly healthy. Shen Buyu made a social media post. The caption read, "New family member." Not long afterward, she received a message from the person she'd been thinking about. Hey, can I pet her? Just once. After hearing Shen Buyu tell me all that, my heart raced as if I'd just run 800 meters. So, she'd been there that day too. I was late to political theory class that day because I'd found little sister. After rushing her to the vet, I hurried back, only to find I was too late. So I simply turned around and went to see little sister. Fate is strange. From that day on, the destinies of the three of us became entwined. Shen Buyu took out last night's little velvet box and opened it. Inside was a delicate, adorable crystal cat necklace. Fangs you. I want us to be the happy cats in this world. Little sister meowed then, as if to remind her. Shen Buyu smiled and immediately corrected herself. 3 happy cats. I took the necklace, its cool crystal resting against my palm. Hearing usually aloof Shen Buyu say something so sweet made my heart race. Okay, the sunshine was perfect as we made a promise. We would be happy little cats in this world. After we officially got together, little sister stayed true to herself and still preferred me. But occasionally, while Shen Buyu was reading, she would grace her by curling up beside her legs and purring. Shen Buyu, meanwhile, finally got her wish. That night, she pinned me to the bed, kissing me fiercely and urgently. And when things went further, she was rather impatient too. Shen Buyu, didn't you say? You were traditional. Shen Buyu sat astride me and wrapped herself around me for another kiss. I don't want to be traditional anymore. She lowered her head and lightly nipped my Adam's apple. A trace of wetness brushed over it, making me tremble. Shen Buyu suddenly laughed when she saw me. Let's be cats. I don't want to be human either. Worse than being a trio, with 2 people dating. is when they break up, then fight over custody of me. I have two childhood friends I've known since I was little. I used to think that even when we dated and started families, the three of us would simply become six first. Until the winter break of my freshman year, when I caught Huangzia and Yang Jian making out. My two best friends had gotten together. The moment I learned the truth, all those odd moments finally made sense. So all those stupid things I'd happily done before had all made me their free prop for flirting. For example, when they walked side by side, I insisted on squeezing between them, holding one hand each. Huangzia whereupon Yang Jian a scarf for winter. I complained forever about her favoritism. In the end, Huangzia not only wear upon me a scarf, she wear upon me a hat too. Yang Jian drank Huangzia's milk tea, so I whined that I wanted some too. In the end, when Yang Jian bought Huangzia gloves, he bought an extra pair for me as well. He said through gritted teeth, "Take them. You're the bane of my existence." I was unbelievably oblivious. Only later did I realize just how glaring a third wheel I'd been. The two people closest to me were dating. A romantic relationship differs from friendship. They were more intimate with each other. I needed time to adjust. Who knew when their friendship had turned into something more? I felt gloomy about it for a long time. The two of them were together, and I felt strangely abandoned. But afterward, they still included me in everything. Then I understood. I wasn't there to break them apart. I was there to join their family. Huangzia and Yang Jian stayed together for years. They made it through graduation and into working life. They stayed together until I got used to their relationship. They stayed together until, in the home they shared, they had even set aside a guest room just for me. I even wondered when they got married, whether I'd count as the groom's guest or the bride's. Then, they broke up. Fang's, when you got hurt hiking at 16, I carried you down that nearly 2,000-meter mountain. Step by step. Have you forgotten what you said then? Yang Jian reminded me darkly. You said we were brothers from different mothers and fathers. So are you choosing your brother now? Or this woman? When they were madly in love, it was baby this, baby that. Now she's just this woman. Huangzia didn't let me off either. Fang's, I knew you days before he did. When we were in school, you were falsely accused of dating too young. Who stood up and tore everyone apart for you? My parents treat you like a second son. Can you really do this to me? Breaking up is one thing, but why are you acting like you're getting divorced? You're dividing every last possession, including the pots and dishes in the kitchen and half-used soap in the bathroom. You're even fighting over custody of me. For over 20 years, my parents had been healthy and happily in love. But now, I was facing the kind of choice children face when their parents divorce. Standing between them, I spoke softly. Is it possible that I'm already an adult, so you don't need to fight over me? No. They answered in unison. God knows why these two broke up. As their mutual friend, I used to be Steve. Now I was the filling in a sandwich. Except I was wedged between two people ready to explode. Thinking of that, I instinctively started breathing more quietly. In the end, I still didn't choose. Then I could only watch them each pack their things, leaving the apartment to me. Yes, like a child left behind. I watched them drag their luggage away, unable to stand the sight of each other. And this little home that had held years of their love was left to me. Huangzia and Yang Jian had bought the apartment in college. I didn't visit often, but I had a room here. Right then, I looked at the home they'd stripped bare, as if burglars had hit it. I didn't even know whom I should try to win back. This is why you shouldn't date your close friends. One breakup, and the whole family falls apart. The two of them left with their luggage. But they didn't completely leave me alone. Yang Jian called first. Wasn't I good enough to her? I handled most of the housework. After we got together, I forced myself to become a great cook. Whenever she was sick, I cared for her day and night. And what about her? She forgot our anniversary and laughed and chatted with the guy pursuing her. What decent man secretly waits to become the other man? I criticized him, and she took his side. Yang Jian sounded like a bitter husband. Fang's, whose side are you on? Do you remember how terrible your grades used to be? I'm the one who tutored you and brought them up. I fell silent. He was right. But the problem was, the people who tutored me weren't just him. You've got some nerve saying that. Didn't you and Huangzia use tutoring me as an excuse to secretly flirt with each other? This time, Yang Jian fell silent. That call had barely ended. When Huangzia called, I explained to him that there was nothing between me and that other guy. We worked together. How am I supposed to avoid ever seeing him? And he said, his situation with that junior female colleague still wasn't clear either. You don't have another man. But what about him? No. If he dared, I'd castrate him. Then, why did you break up? Huangzia hesitated, then finally said only, forget it. What would you know? If I remembered right, we were the same age. It was just that my brain had never been as quick as theirs. Still, with their tutoring back then, I got into a pretty good university. Looking at the winter scene outside, I reminded her, Zia, Lunar New Year is coming soon. Silence fell on the other end. Our three families were close, and we always had a reunion dinner for Lunar New Year. The adults didn't know Huang Zia and Yang Jian had been dating. They often used me as their alibi when they went on dates. And now, after breaking up, they still had to sit together for dinner back home. It was hard for me to interfere in my friends' love and resentment, especially when both sides believed they were right. All I could do was remain neutral. These two broke up, and I was losing hair over it. After the breakup, they kept asking me out for meals and drinks, and we'd often run into each other. When I drank with Huang Zia and cursed her ex, Yang Jian scolded me. I thought we were brothers from different mothers and fathers, and you're helping her curse me. When I ate with Yang Jian, he listed all the ways he'd been oppressed during their relationship. In the end, he called Huang Zia a heartless woman because it was a restaurant we frequented. Huang Zia caught us. Huang Zia sneered. Of course men start bad-mouthing their exes the moment they break up. You didn't badmouth me. I did. They were all objective facts, and I said what I said. Caught between them, I was just like a helpless child after their parents' divorce. Finally, the work week began. I went downstairs for coffee with dark circles under my eyes. But unexpectedly, when I reached the lobby, I accidentally bumped into someone. A delicate hand steadied the wrist holding my coffee. Careful. Looking down, I saw the woman before me clearly. Her breathtaking face came into view. After freezing for a moment, I hurriedly apologized. Boss Shen, I'm sorry. The woman before me was Shen Buyu. She was essentially my direct supervisor, a formidable woman who'd reached management in her 20s. More importantly, she was gorgeous. She radiated mature, dependable charm. According to my co-workers, seeing Boss Shen every day made their workplace trauma hurt a little less. Shen Buyu called my name. Fangs you. Have you not been resting well lately? Your dark circles are severe. I was a little out of it. Half my mind was still on those troublesome friends going through a breakup. So, faced with Shen Buyu's sudden concern, I blurted out, when people get divorced, do they usually stay with dad or mom? The moment the words left my mouth, I froze, and Shen Buyu froze too. The next second, I honestly apologized. I'm sorry, Boss Shen. It's fine. Make sure you get some rest. Shen Buyu had always been gentle with me. First, I was fairly capable at my job. Second, I had connections getting into the company. The year one graduated, my advisor practically packaged me off to her star pupil's company. Shen Buyu was my direct senior from 3 graduating classes ahead. Working was a miserable fate, especially when a client's demands kept changing, only for them to want the very first version in the end. Exhausted, I ran a hand through my hair. A coworker watched Shen Buyu's departing figure, then leaned over. Boss Shen is the most beautiful sight in this company. How can someone be both beautiful and rich? Everyone can see that she's beautiful, but how can you tell she's rich? Did you see the watch on Boss Shen's wrist? The list price alone is several $100,000 yuan, and the car she drives isn't cheap either. I squinted at Shen Buyu's retreating figure for a moment. I recognized the watch on her wrist. My mom had one from the same brand and left it lying around everywhere. How could mom be rich and keep it from her own son? Not very fair of her. When it was time to leave, my co-workers departed one by one. I was still battling the client's picky demands. Night had fallen when I was about to shut down my computer, but then I heard footsteps. I looked up. In the office farther inside, Shen Buyu slowly emerged. I wasn't actually that close to my senior, Shen Buyu. When I was a freshman, she'd already been admitted to graduate school. By the time I was about to join the lab, she graduated. Of course, we had met. After all, she was our advisor's prize student. Shen Buyu came over. Why haven't you left yet? She glanced at my computer, then casually typed a few things. After saving, she even closed it for me. Her long fingers moving across the keyboard made for a lovely sight. If she weren't my direct boss, any social relationship, once work gets involved, would kill anyone's libido. Have you eaten? She suddenly asked again. I instinctively shook my head. Then I heard my gentle yet meticulous, boundary-conscious boss say, then let's go. Your senior is treating you to dinner tonight. Senior. I had never mentioned this connection between us to any of my coworkers, nor could anyone tell I'd gotten in through connections. Because when I was preparing to send out resumes, my advisor looked at the company I wanted to apply to and told me not to bother. She sent my resume directly to Shen Buyu's email. Then Shen Buyu interviewed me, and I was hired. The process was much simpler, so it did count as using connections. Shen Buyu had called herself my senior. That meant she wasn't speaking to me as my boss right now. I followed Shen Buyu, listening as she called to reserve a table. Senior Shen, is it really appropriate for us to have dinner alone? Shen Buyu turned to look at me. What's the problem? Someone like me, who got in through connections. Shouldn't I keep a low profile? Clearly, the woman before me hadn't expected that. She fell into a strange silence. After a while, I heard her say. Thanks you. You're the talent I personally recruited from our advisor through connections. I'm the one who pulled strings, not you. I was a little dumbfounded. It sounded like she was talking about the same thing I was. Yet somehow it was completely different. Huang Zia had been right to cram language arts into me back then. Otherwise, my brain couldn't have kept up right now. At dinner, Shen Buyu asked about my life lately. At work, I'm your boss. In private, I'm your direct senior. If anything is bothering you, you can tell me. I've been at the company for less than a year. I never expected Shen Buyu to be so caring in private, so I was sincerely touched. Senior, you're such a good person. No wonder Senior Liu always told me how kind you are. Liu Ruyan? I nodded. Liu Ruyan was a senior to classes ahead of me. She was also Shen Buyu's direct junior. She worked at this company too, just not in my department. Do you keep in touch often? We sometimes meet for dinner, especially when I first joined the company. Senior Liu taught me plenty of workplace survival skills. Just then, the woman across from me suddenly asked, "We're both your seniors, so why do you only ask her to dinner? Playing favorites?" This either-or question felt eerily familiar. I paused, then answered honestly. Senior, you're pretty busy. How could I impose on you? Though really, it was mostly because we weren't close. Hearing that, Shen Buyu suddenly smiled. I'm teasing you. Come to me if you have any problems in the future. Liu Ruyan only just started dating someone. Don't disturb her. Senior Liu is dating someone? I was stunned. Didn't we agree we'd all stay single until 30? She betrayed our sacred friendship just like that. Shen Buyu watched my shocked expression, smiling as she nodded. Soon, the server brought out our dishes. I chewed gloomily. The people around me were either dating or breaking up. Being alone was still the most carefree. Shen Buyu served me some food and casually asked, "This morning, you mentioned staying with dad or mom. Are your parents having problems?" That was a huge misunderstanding. I shook my head. No. It's my two best friends. They're going through a breakup. Huang Zia and Yang Jian ask me out every weekend they can. It's like they use my schedule to figure out whether I'm spending time with the other. Yang Jian has a clear advantage there, because he can come straight to my place and sleep in the same bed as me. When they were dating, they thought I was a third wheel. Now they treat me like a prized treasure. Those two are such a pain. After Shen Buyu heard my brief account of their relationship, she gave a soft laugh. It sounds like they still love each other. Who knows? After all, when they fight, one says, I'd choose anyone in this life before I'd choose her again. The other says, I'll be damned if I ever like him again. After dinner, Shen Buyu offered to drive me home. Once again, I experienced my boss's considerate care. She truly was a good person. With my usual chatty nature, I should have shared it in our group chat. But lately, it really wasn't appropriate. So about this, I didn't tell either Huang Zia or Yang Jian. I treated it as nothing more than an ordinary day. During the second week after Huang Zia and Yang Jian broke up, I went over to their former apartment and gave it a thorough cleaning. The two were still refusing to have anything to do with each other, but thankfully, they no longer asked me whose side I was on. In the break room, my co-workers discussed our boss's recent style. Why has Boss Shen been wearing glasses lately? That face with rimless glasses is kind of sexy. Her outfits have changed too. She's wearing much more jewelry. I copied Boss Shen's outfits for my partner. The result looked nothing like the model, but my partner finally looks properly dressed these days. A cause for celebration. That man who came by this morning seems to be pursuing Boss Shen. Our project is almost finished, yet he still comes by so often. Clearly, he's here for more than the project, but that's only natural. Fang's you. Why aren't you saying anything? I was holding a hot latte when they suddenly called on me. I instinctively went, oh. Once I caught on, I naturally began by affirming my senior's beauty. Boss Shen is very beautiful, and you have no thoughts about that. Little Joe from the next department knows to make himself noticed around Boss Shen. You're our department's handsome, eligible bachelor. This married co-worker was clearly disappointed in me, but I shook my head like a rattle. No. Absolutely not. How could someone as ordinary as me ever dare pursue Boss Shen? She's my direct senior. People from the same academic line are family. How could I have improper thoughts about family? I grabbed my latte, ready to flee this dangerous topic. Then I happened to see Shen Buyu walking past. I stared at her retreating back in silence. She didn't hear that, right? Corporate workhorses can't avoid the occasional business trip. When I was assigned one, I was prepared. After all, I'd handled this project all along. Naturally, I'd have to travel too. Only this time, Shen Buyu was leading several of us. To play gracious host, our partners booked a private room and treated us to dinner. Their boss was a heavy drinker who loved making others drink with him, so I drank quite a lot. By the time my head was spinning, I raised my final glass. But just then, Shen Buyu grabbed my wrist. If you can't drink anymore, don't. I obediently nodded. My alcohol tolerance is actually decent, but knowing Shen Buyu was looking out for me made me dizzy just sitting there. Although I was drunk, I could still clearly hear what people around me said. I could even think and respond. Huang Zia and Yang Jian had praised how I behaved when drunk. They said that when drunk, I only obediently clinged to someone and sleep. Whenever I got drunk before, Yang Jian was beside me. Naturally, he was the one I held. But tonight, the alcohol hit me all at once. I was getting sleepy. Employees from both sides were drunk all over the place, especially those who claimed they could drink the most. They were completely passed out. The sober ones helped everyone into the cars. I was somewhere between sober and drunk. Fang's you. Someone suddenly called my name. Following the voice, I looked down at her. I widened my eyes to make out her face. Shen Buyu paused. Never mind. Stay close to me. Okay. And so Shen Buyu had a little shadow following her. I followed her for a while, then was bundled into a car. Also bundled into the car was another co-worker, dead drunk. He sat in front, while Shen Buyu and I sat in the back. The hotel wasn't far away. Sleepy, I nodded off a few times. Then the car made a turn, and I tipped over to the side. I landed against a warm shoulder. I knew it was a shoulder, but my thoughts were sluggish. I didn't realize at all that it wasn't a shoulder I should lean on. So not only did I lean against it, I also wrapped an arm around her waist. It felt a little different. This waist was far slimmer than the one I'd held before. The person I held seemed to tense up instantly, but she didn't push me away. It felt like I'd slept for a while, then woke up in a hotel room, though I wasn't fully awake. When I opened my eyes, a beautiful face at close range took my breath away. Realizing who it was, I smiled at her. Senior, you're so beautiful. That was what I'd thought when I first ran into Shen Buyu on campus as a freshman. Back then, I didn't even know her major. Shen Buyu met my gaze and asked, "How beautiful." She was still wearing glasses that night. I was almost afraid to look directly into her eyes, but I reached out and touched her face. My fingers traced down to her lips. They were so soft. I had no idea how bold my actions must have seemed to her. Alcohol emboldened my wicked thoughts, so I did something even more outrageous. I leaned in and kissed her lips. The hangover brought a headache and crushing regret once I sobered up. Alcohol is a terrible thing, but I hated even more that I hadn't blacked out. I clearly remembered every outrageous thing I'd done to my boss while drunk. After waking that morning, as hot water poured over me in the shower, I drafted my resignation letter in my head, but there was no avoiding it. On the trip back, I was assigned to the same car as Shen Buyu. I wanted to switch with someone, but Shen Buyu's assistant said, "Fang's you. Boss Shen says she needs to discuss some technical matters with you." So, in Shen Buyu's car, I sat on pins and needles. Yet she didn't say a word the entire ride. I was terrified the whole way. When we finally arrived home, Shen Buyu got out too. She stopped me as I tried to escape. "I've given you all that time to think of your words. Have you figured out how to begin?" What was coming would come. I tried to sound as sincere as possible. "I'm sorry, Boss Shen. I got drunk and took advantage of you. I know nothing I do can make up for it. If this makes you uncomfortable, I'll submit my resignation the moment I get back." I lowered my head and waited for a long moment, just as I wanted to dig a hole right there and bury myself from embarrassment. I suddenly heard a cold laugh above me. "Fang's you. Your way of making it up to me is to make me lose my first kiss and lose an employee as well." Shen Buyu's expression darkened. "Are you making it up to me? Or getting back at me? First kiss?" My mind went blank. I instinctively glanced at Shen Buyu's lips. Maybe it was my imagination, but her lips seemed a little swollen today. Last night, I'd only meant to see how they felt, but they felt far too good. I opened my mouth to say something, but Shen Buyu touched my face first. "Go home and rest first. Think about it some more." Shen Buyu told me to go home and rest, but whenever I closed my eyes, all I could think of was my drunken self-destructs. What did she want me to think about? How could I give in to animal urges while drunk and make a move on my beautiful boss, who was also my senior, and do something so beastly to her? I repented bitterly, but as I kept repenting, I somehow started savoring the memory. Amid that tangled mix of guilt and longing, I fell into a deep sleep. When I returned to work, I stood outside the company entrance, taking several deep breaths before stepping inside. Feeling guilty, I stayed at my desk almost the entire day. My co-workers invited me to slack off several times, but I refused. I only waited for quitting time so I could leave immediately. With just over 10 minutes until the end of the day, a co-worker leaving Shen Buyu's office came to deliver a message. "Fang's you. Boss Shen wants you." Though I was reluctant, I still dragged myself over. I knocked at the door. "Come in." I pushed the door open. The woman behind the desk came into view. Her eyes didn't fall on me right away. I closed the door and walked over. "Boss Shen, what do you need?" Shen Buyu really did have work to discuss. She pointed out the flaws in the proposal I'd emailed her that day. I nodded rapidly. After everything was settled, I was about to leave when Shen Buyu called me back. "Fang's you." As she spoke, she rose from her seat. There were only a few minutes left until the end of the day. If there was nothing else to do, my co-workers should have been packing up. Shen Buyu walked toward me. "Have you reached a conclusion about what I told you to think over? What does your silence mean?" I glanced up at Shen Buyu, then apologized. "I'm sorry. I promise it will never happen again." If she wouldn't let me resign, That was all I could say. Thinking that, I glanced at Shen Buyu several times. Shen Buyu seemed so exasperated she laughed. After a long moment, she spoke. Thanks you. After thinking for so long, did it never occur to you to take responsibility for me? The moment she finished speaking, I froze. A few seconds later, I looked up. My gaze met Shen Buyu's directly. Take responsibility? For Shen Buyu? I instinctively started to shake my head. Boss Shen, office relationships are not a good idea. The company doesn't expressly forbid office romances, but seeing your boss both at work and afterward, what a miserable life that would be. Thanks you. Then why did you hold my face that night and tell me I was beautiful and keep kissing me? Do you remember how long you kissed me? I remembered, but I had no sense of how long it lasted. Shen Buyu wasn't waiting for my answer. She stared straight at me and continued. Or have you even forgotten what kissing feels like? Want to try again? Shen Buyu took my hand and raised it until it could reach her glasses. Take them off from me. After I removed her glasses, nothing stood between Shen Buyu's gaze and mine. Her eyes drifted downward. Feeling her gaze, my lower body instantly tensed. I really couldn't. At the very least, I shouldn't. Before I could think any further, the next second, Shen Buyu leaned down toward me. Her lips brushed mine gently. That brief touch was enough to shut down my brain. Then the touch turned into something else. Her hand settled behind my head, drawing me closer. It was nearly quitting time. The office wasn't especially soundproof either. Footsteps of co-workers passed outside. Every step made my nerves tighten. I wasn't the one in control of this kiss. When Shen Buyu finally let me go, I hadn't even had time to question her before I heard her say, "That's exactly how you were that night." Those words instantly took the wind out of me. Shen Buyu lightly brushed my lips again. Does it feel so terrible? Actually, it didn't. I opened my mouth. Even I was beginning to understand. Boss Shen, do you like me? The woman before me gave a soft laugh. I do, Junior. That form of address left me dazed. The year one started graduate school. I truly was our professor's youngest student. Our professor took me to dinner with several senior students that year. They called me Junior. Shen Buyu had been there too, but I had long since become someone else's senior, with juniors of my own. Shen Buyu liked me. The fact that she'd admitted it herself utterly stunned me. Before I could say anything, Shen Buyu fixed her eyes on me and said, "Will you be with me?" But dating within our academic circle was forbidden. Do you like me? Then, her question, asked so close, forced me to look into Shen Buyu's eyes again. That face, I had never grown tired of it. Not since my first year of college. But a senior was a senior. A senior couldn't become my girlfriend, and neither could a boss. In principle, I opened my mouth to speak, but the next moment, Shen Buyu lowered her head again and kissed me, and so I was kissed into silence. My memory of that day ended with the flowers Shen Buyu brought me. I heard a relationship should begin with a bouquet of flowers. Shen Buyu became my girlfriend. I remembered back when we were students. The senior students used to joke, no, dating within the academic circle. But now, Shen Buyu was already perfectly at ease in my apartment. As the new year approached, she became even more clingy. Compared to how she acted at work, she seemed like a completely different person. Just as my co-workers had said, she really was wearing more accessories. What they didn't notice was that I was wearing more accessories too. Shen Buyu lifted the ring pendant hanging from my neck. The ring on it clearly matched the one on her finger. You hide it so carefully, afraid someone will find out. It's not like we're having an affair. It might as well be. My feelings for her were complicated. At work, I wanted to punch her. After work, seeing that face made me want her again. Shen Buyu never lost her temper with subordinates, but her standards were high. Whenever she gently sent my work back for revisions, I felt like life wasn't worth living. She had been my boss. Now she was my boss and my girlfriend. That left me torn between love and hate, counting the years I'd known Shen Buyu from afar. This was already the 8th year. This year, our relationship had changed beyond recognition. Shen Buyu pinned me to the couch and kissed me. Do you like me? I couldn't answer her question. Then Shen Buyu lightly patted my cheek and wrapped her arms around my waist. She apologized without the slightest remorse. Sorry, I'm still not very good at this. We'll get better with more practice. Liar. Her practice only made me worse. Yet she kept praising me. Baby, you're incredible. Then there was one day when she murmured, Junior. I came on the spot. When the spring festival arrived, I finally got a short holiday. When I got home, my parents were enthusiastically planning a dinner with Huang Zia's and Yang Jian's families. Really, they were just booking a private dining room and choosing the menu. But the strange part was, Huang Zia used to sit between Yang Jian and me. This year, I was seated between them. The icy tension between them left me afraid to move. I didn't know whether they kept in touch after breaking up, but they certainly talked plenty of trash about each other. Their resentment seemed more lasting than love. Huang Zia's mother asked me, Fang's you've started working this year. How does it feel? Everything's great, Aunt Lin. Come to think of it, Huang Zia and Yang Jian had both been better students than me. After college, They each focused on their own careers. Huang Zia opened a studio. Yang Jian joined a major company, and his salary rose every year. They were both making a fortune. When I was in graduate school, I was just a broke student to them. They often gave me spending money behind the scenes. My mother noticed that Huang Zia looked off. She asked, Zia, is the food not to your liking? Why are you eating so little? It's good, Mom. I was just thinking. The moment she finished speaking, Yang Jian's father jabbed him with an elbow. You brat. Why are you scowling? Who owes you money? Dad, can I be thinking too? What is there to think about during the holidays? You're in your 20s and still not dating. When will your mother and I get a grandchild? Those two aren't dating either. Why are you only picking on me? Zia is so pretty. And there's Fang too. They both look much livelier than you. How could they have a harder time finding someone than you? Nothing cuts deeper than your own father's jab. During the holiday, Buyu and I naturally went back to our respective homes. But on New Year's Eve, I curled up in my bedroom and video called her. On the 4th night of the Lunar New Year, Buyu called me. Did you miss me? Of course I missed you. We used to see each other almost every day, so I never thought much of it. But after only a few days apart, she kept appearing in my dreams. The woman on the other end gave a soft laugh. Want to come out and meet me? I'm nearby. I froze for a moment. Then I saw that Buyu had sent me a photo. It showed a street near my home. My spirits instantly soared. I threw on my coat and ran outside. My mother called after me. Where are you running off to this late at night? I'm going to see Huang Zia and Yang Jian. That boy. Buyu stood beneath a street lamp, dressed all in white. I jogged through the wind and wrapped her in my arms. What are you doing here? She held my waist and looked up at me from my arms. I missed you, so I came. A few days apart had already been torture. Buyu tilted her head up and brushed her nose against mine. Though it was the spring festival at this hour, there weren't many people around, so I lowered my head to kiss her. But just then, Buyu suddenly asked, Are those to your friends? I whipped my head around. A short distance away, right beneath the street lamp, stood my two childhood friends, arms folded. Yang Jian said darkly, Your mom called and asked if you were staying at my place tonight. Fang's you. I wondered what you were up to. Turns out you came out for a secret date with a woman. For a moment, I felt dazed, because many years ago, one winter, in nearly this exact spot, I caught those two making out. What goes around comes around. As they marched toward us menacingly, I felt a little guilty. But Buyu didn't. She even calmly introduced herself. Hello, I'm Buyu, Fang Shu's girlfriend. Huang Zia frowned at me. Isn't she your boss? Since when did she become your girlfriend? It seems Fang Shu has mentioned me to you. Yang Jian's scrutinizing gaze also fell on Buyu. Miss Shen, right? It's late, so we won't keep you. You should head home and rest. Buyu hugged me, then kissed my cheek before leaving. Get some rest. Then came my own interrogation, just as I had once righteously questioned these two childhood friends for betraying our pure friendship. Yang Jian spoke first. Fang Shu, what good can come from dating your boss? She's far more experienced than you. Can you really handle her? You two dated each other. You have no right to judge me. Huang Zia spoke in a chilling tone. When did you start dating? How did I not know? I fell silent. I was guilty and had no defense. After a long while, I tried to bluff my way through. You two had been caught up in your breakup for ages. I didn't want to intrude. As soon as I said that, Yang Jian suddenly shot Huang Zia a glare. This is all your fault. You're blaming me again? Why not blame me for the wind and rain too? Why don't you look at yourself? People usually tell friends of the same sex when they're dating, don't they? He never told you. Maybe you should reflect on that. Watching the two of them argue until they were red in the face, the fact that I was dating became an accepted fact to Huang Zia and Yang Jian. They asked for a few details. Huang Zia looked at me in exasperation. Are you an idiot? What do you mean? You got drunk, lusted after her, and forced a kiss. Don't we know exactly what you're like when you're drunk? She clearly used your drunkenness to seduce you into kissing her. You were completely wasted. How could someone sober be forced into a kiss by you? Yang Jian shoved my head. How did you fall for such a calculating woman? You're so hopelessly naive. No wonder she won you over with barely any effort. Was that really it? I went to ask Buyu. To my surprise, after hearing my question, she didn't answer directly. She only smiled. That was as good as an admission. Embarrassed and angry, I gripped her chin and demanded, Then when did you start liking me? I don't know either. Before I could say anything, Buyu reached out and held me. Remember when you entered that competition in your junior year and asked our professor for guidance? I remember. Why? I even won an award then. Later, when I applied to graduate school, I chose our professor. She became my advisor. At the time, she had been invited to a forum and had no time. Sometimes, I was managing her account for her. Most of the time, I was the one talking to you. I froze when I heard that. So back then, Buyu kissed me. I liked you. I thought you were so handsome. And more than that, I thought you were calm, exceptional, and sexy. She paused, holding me down as I tried to rise. Fang's you. What about you? Her fingertips slowly traced up my chest. How do you feel about me? She didn't only want my verbal answer. She wanted my body's most honest answer too. Huang Zia and Yang Jian's entanglement wasn't over. Late one night, I got a drunken call from Yang Jian. That heartless woman Huang Zia is going on a blind date. How can she go on a blind date? Are other men as handsome as me? Can they make as much money as I can? Are they as clean as I am? Can they take care of her like I can? Can they love her as much as I do? I sighed helplessly. So after all that resentment, you just hate that she doesn't love you enough. What kind of melodramatic love-hate saga is this? Shen Buyu was awakened by the noise. Do you need to pick up your friend? I shook my head and messaged Huangzia, telling her to come downstairs and get him. There had been a convenience store announcement in the background of the call, identical to the one below Huangzia's building. Even drunk, he knew exactly where to go. Who says men aren't calculating? By the time I thought of it again, Yang Jian had already been freeloading at Huangzia's place for a week. Who knew what tricks he'd used? I didn't know if Huangzia still loved Yang Jian, but she had still kept the handmade gifts Yang Jian gave her when they were 17 or 18. I knew they'd gotten back together in spring. That day, Yang Jian posted on social media. Huangzia posted too. One posted their meal, the other the movie they'd watched together. I let out a sigh of relief. At last, they didn't have to fight over custody of me. Shen Buyu came over and kissed me. The weather's nice. Want to go on a date with me? Married life was too dull, so I got myself a canary for company. But somehow, word reached my wife, whom I'd married for business. From that day on, she started coming home much more often. Her nightgowns grew thinner, and her methods more creative. Until one day, she finally couldn't help asking, when will you take me to meet the canary you're keeping outside? What is it about her that attracts you? Is my figure really not better than hers? I paused in surprise. You want to meet her? After she confirmed it, I took her to meet the bird I kept, a Gloucester canary. Shen Buyu and I were married for business. Though we'd known each other since childhood, we were hardly close. After the wedding, she focused on her career, and I focused on mine. Being apart more than together was normal, especially over the last 2 or 3 months. Shen Buyu had overseas projects. She often flew out and vanished for more than half a month. My friends all teased me, saying my marriage was no different from being single. You always said you wanted a life where you didn't come home, and your wife didn't nag you about it. With you, it's your wife who doesn't want to come home. But your wife is stunning, so I can't tell whether you've got it good or bad. Still, Fang's you. Your married life is practically the same as being single. Every day, it's work and business dinners. Aren't you bored? Ever thought of finding some other fun? Bored? A little, honestly. So one day, while driving past the flower and pet market, I wandered in on a whim. When I came out, I had a bouquet of white lisianthus and a bird cage in my hands. I had bought a bright yellow bird. The seller said it was a Gloucester canary. Cheerful chirping spilled from the cage. The sound made my heart lift. I didn't take the canary home. Instead, I housed it in a villa under my name, with a housekeeper assigned to care for it. After all, our marital home belonged to both Shen Buyu and me. I couldn't keep a pet there without asking her. The day I became a bird owner, I shared my joy with my best friend. It was noisy on Yang Jian's end. He apparently couldn't hear me clearly. He told me to wait while he put me on speakerphone. I raised my voice without thinking. I said, I've got a canary kept outside. The moment I said that, the other end fell silent. All the background chatter stopped. Yang Jian, but he suddenly lowered his voice. Fang's you. Why do you say everything so carelessly? You didn't even ask where I was. What's wrong with keeping a bird? I can't talk about that. Keep it down. Is that something to be proud of? In the days after that call, I heard people talking about me keeping a canary. They even made a point of avoiding me when they discussed it. Some would pass by and say meaningfully, brothers, you really know how to enjoy life. What were they talking about? I was busy and had no time to look into it. One day after work, when I came home, I sensed something was off. I looked up and saw a silent figure sitting on the living room sofa. My wife, whom I hadn't seen in half a month, had returned without a word. I walked over, confused. Shen Buyu, didn't you say you wouldn't be back for another week? We weren't close as husband and wife, but I still knew her schedule. You don't want me back. Something was strange in Shen Buyu's tone, but I didn't understand why. She opened her mouth as though she wanted to say something, but in the end, she said nothing. Her complexion looked a little poor. I raised a hand and touched her face. Are you feeling unwell? You don't have a fever, either. The next second, Shen Buyu hugged me without warning. She pushed me onto the sofa and straddled me. Before I could say anything, she kissed me. It was a fierce, overwhelming kiss. I thought she only wanted a kiss. But as we kept kissing, the kiss turned into something else. I struggled to say that I hadn't showered, but Shen Buyu stared straight at me. She was truly beautiful. There wasn't a single imperfect feature on her face. I stood, one hand supporting her backside. Then I headed toward the bathroom. I didn't know what had gotten into Shen Buyu tonight. She was very forward and utterly seductive. Though tears kept falling, she never asked me to stop. She was the one who used to complain of being tired. Shen Buyu kept asking me, "Who am I?" Shen Buyu. My wife, my love. None of those answers satisfied her, yet she still made me say them. Steam clouded the bathroom. She was like duckweed adrift without an anchor, clinging tightly to me. Seeing how completely exhausted she was, I carried her back to the bed. Still dazed, she leaned close to whisper in my ear, "You're mine." Of course one was hers. For some reason, I felt there was an unspoken hurt in Shen Buyu tonight. But my wife was renowned as an aloof beauty, a woman deeply devoted to her career. She rarely spared much thought for me. What could possibly make her feel hurt? It wasn't until the next day that I remembered to ask about her schedule. Shen Buyu stood beside the bed, looking deeply at me. "The project is in its final stage. I've handed over my work, so I'll be staying in the country for a while. Didn't you say that project was important, that you had to oversee it yourself to feel at ease?" Shen Buyu nodded. "There's something important here, too. Something I need to watch personally." I didn't catch the implication in her words. From that day on, Shen Buyu became very strange. Though she was busy with work, she came home far more often. Usually, when I got home, she was already there. When I came home from work one day, I saw Shen Buyu wearing an apron and carrying dishes out of the kitchen. I froze for a moment, not just because Shen Buyu was cooking, but because of what she was wearing. She wore a fitted black dress. The exquisite lines of her body were on full display. Shen Buyu usually wore women's suits, which made her seem more distant. As her husband, I knew perfectly well how incredible her figure was. Even so, my heart still itched with desire. She was so captivating. Shen Buyu looked at me and smiled softly. "You're back? Wash your hands. Dinner's ready." It was the first time I'd eaten food my wife had made. Because our marriage was for business, we never expected domestic skills from each other. We usually hired people to handle those things, so I had no idea Shen Buyu could cook so well. "Is it good?" I nodded eagerly. "It's delicious." Then she made another pointed remark. "Since the food at home is good, don't eat out. It's unhealthy." But I only understood the surface meaning. "How can that work? You're so busy. How can you come home and cook every day after work?" Shen Buyu glared at me, then turned and walked away. That evening, while Shen Buyu was showering, I called Yang Jian. He sounded rather furtive. "Your wife's not there, right?" "No." "What's wrong? How's that canary of yours?" "The canary? It's doing great. It even rubs its head against my hand to act cute now." Every little bird has its own personality. Mine just happens to be very affectionate with people. "Thanks you. I didn't expect you to like that type." Yang Jian gave a sly laugh. "I can't support this, man. You're married, after all. Even if it's a loveless business marriage, keeping something like that outside behind your wife's back, you'd better hide it well." Just as I was about to ask what there was to hide, footsteps suddenly sounded behind me. Somehow, Shen Buyu had already finished showering. She came out wearing only a bath towel. Very sexy. "Who are you talking to?" "Yang Jian." Belatedly, I showed her my phone screen, only to find that Yang Jian had hung up at some point. Shen Buyu's gaze fell on my phone screen. She took the phone from my hand and turned off the screen. She bent down in front of me. Her beautiful face filled my vision. She took my hand and raised it. She leaned close and brushed against it softly, her eyes still fixed intently on mine. "You like this?" In that moment, my mind went completely blank. I barely heard what she was saying. I never expected the always composed Shen Buyu to do something like this. "Shen Buyu, did you hear my call?" She furrowed her brow and took a deep breath. Her chest rose and fell. "Thanks you. If this is what you like, I can do it too. Don't go looking outside." Shen Buyu probably had no idea how sexy she looked right then. I only heard the first half of what she said. The next second, her kiss crashed over me. As I fell onto the bed, I grumbled inwardly. Why was Shen Buyu competing with a bird? Did she really dislike birds that much? I gave up on bringing the canary home. My wife didn't like it. Nothing I could do. Shen Buyu was especially clingy that night. She said so many intoxicating things. She never used to say much in bed, but now every word made my heart race. I lost myself with her in pleasure. Who changed my wife's settings? Shen Buyu had more and more tricks up her sleeve. Not only did she come home often, she even took an intense interest in my schedule. After work one day, I went to the villa to play with the bird. The little bird had grown adorably plump. Though I wasn't the one caring for it every day, it would still fly onto my hand when I came by. I didn't keep it confined in a cage. I had someone build it a bird room suited to its needs. There were plants inside, with sunlight streaming in. Even the temperature was ideal. When Shen Buyu called, I was playing with the bird. Good baby. You're so attached to your owner. The phone was already connected. Shen Buyu. There was a long silence before she spoke. Where are you? My arranged marriage wife had been especially clingy lately. I instinctively thought she was urging me to come home. I'll be right back. Shen Buyu fell silent again, then gave a quiet hum after a long while. I hurried back and finished my work. It was already late at night when I got home. During our intimacy that night, she leaned down to my ear. Master, have I been good? My eyes widened, but my body answered honestly. I became incredibly roused. I couldn't understand how my wife of over half a year could have changed so much. It was like she'd maxed out her seduction skills. At that title, every last bit of my restraint crumbled. In my haze, I heard her whisper a complaint in my ear. Why didn't you call me baby? My arranged marriage wife had more and more tricks up her sleeve. Sometimes she was more than I could handle. I'd had a lot of business dinners lately. By the time I got home, it was always late, and I was a little drunk. Shen Buyu made me hangover soup and fed it to me. I looked up at her. Her expression was gloomy. In my drunken state, I didn't think much of it. I reached out to smooth the furrow between her brows. Don't frown. Shen Buyu held me up, looking unhappy. Why did you drink so much? I cupped her face and studied it carefully for a long moment. Honey, you're so beautiful. She froze. A few seconds later, I heard her sigh again. Why have you been sighing so much lately? Because I hate myself. You're so wonderful. Why would you hate yourself? Shen Buyu had been gifted since childhood, the kind of child every parent wished for. I couldn't understand why she was still humble bragging. Then, do you love me? I do. But we weren't in bed right now. For a moment, I didn't know how to answer that question. I did like her, but I didn't know whether it had become love. In that brief hesitation, Shen Buyu had already stopped dwelling on it. She reached over and loosened my tie and shirt buttons. I used to be embarrassed to show my body in front of Shen Buyu, but she seemed to really like the results of my workouts. Habit really is a frightening thing. I like kissing Shen Buyu because our kisses were always tender and lingering. But that night, when I laid her on the bed, she didn't let me kiss her. I paused, slow to understand. Through my hazy gaze, I saw Shen Buyu holding my tie. Her fingertips brushed my wrist as she softly suggested, how about we play a game tonight? You want to tie me up? Can I? I gently shook my head. I don't want to. With Shen Buyu's strength, she couldn't restrain me anyway. If she really wanted to play, she'd need different equipment. Shen Buyu stopped what she was doing. She stared at me silently for a moment. Then, what if you tie me up? Tie Shen Buyu to the headboard, meeting her deep, dark gaze. I nodded as if under a spell, with both hands restrained. Shen Buyu looked entirely at my mercy. It stirred an overwhelming urge to take control. I didn't think I was a bad man. Maybe alcohol had worn away my inhibitions. I desperately wanted to see her lose control. Shen Buyu had even prepared a black strip of cloth. I used it to cover Shen Buyu's eyes. She couldn't see me, so I let myself go, fooling myself into thinking it was fine. Even when I recalled it after waking the next day, I couldn't help burying my head under the covers, especially when I saw the mark still left on Shen Buyu's wrist. Wow, how could I be that kind of person? But Shen Buyu had been so sexy last night. Shen Buyu's suit jacket concealed those marks. But when I thought of her going to work covered in marks, to be that ruthless, decisive President Zhang, my heart couldn't help but race again. Was I a little wicked? As far as I could tell, our arranged marriage was slowly getting on track. My wife and I were reasonably happy. At most, Shen Buyu was a little clingier, with a little more appetite. That was until a public charity gala. Shen Buyu and I both attended on behalf of our families. I wore a custom-made suit, along with the watch and wedding ring I'd bought when we married. The gala was crowded, though it hadn't officially begun. I searched everywhere for my wife. At last, I spotted her in a corner. Her two friends stood beside her, Luo Qingyu and Xiao Chuxia. They were saying something to Shen Buyu. Maybe it was just my imagination, but both looked exasperated, as though she were a hopeless case. As I approached, Luo Qingyu saw me first. She took two agitated steps toward me, as if she had something she wanted to argue with me about. As I recalled, I had little contact with Luo Qingyu and Xiao Chuxia. We had no business dealings either. There was no reason for them to hold a grudge against me. But before she could say anything, Shen Buyu pulled her back. Luo Qingyu stopped in her tracks, but she still looked cold as ice. Shen Buyu walked over to me. What did Luo Qingyu and Xiao Chuxia say to you? Was it about me? Shen Buyu didn't explain. Just a misunderstanding. Don't worry about it. But she didn't say what the misunderstanding was, and she clearly had something on her mind. I said nothing and linked arms with her as we entered the ballroom. At the gala, my wife and I both spent lavishly. That was until the auctioneer announced, the next item is a work by renowned painter Lan. Today, Mr. Zhu will tell us about the inspiration behind this painting. I paused when I heard that name. When Lan took the stage in a white suit, I finally knew it was him. I couldn't help glancing beside me. And Lan was the eldest son of a family renowned for calligraphy and painting. He'd grown up with Shen Buyu. I'd heard his family once wanted an alliance through marriage with the Zhang family. For some reason, it had come to nothing. Not long after, and Lan went abroad. As for Lan's return, I hadn't heard a single word about it. The young man on stage spoke with easy confidence. Every gesture carried a scholarly grace. I was his complete opposite. I was fiercely ambitious. I hadn't entered an arranged marriage for love, but for my career. Shen Buyu simply happened to be the best choice. Neither Shen Buyu nor I bid on the painting, but I was certain the man on stage had looked at her. Of course, the painting still sold for a high price. Throughout the gala, especially after NGÓN appeared, more eyes turned toward Shen Buyu and me. I knew people loved gossip, so I didn't think much of it. But when I checked my phone, I suddenly saw an acquaintance had posted a photo with NGÓN. The caption read, "The eldest son returns home to bravely pursue love." The love he was pursuing was. Holding my champagne, I looked around, only to realize Shen Buyu and NGÓN had both vanished from sight. After a brief hesitation, I immediately began searching the venue. When I found Shen Buyu, she was indeed with NGÓN. The two of them stood alone at the corner of a hallway. His eyes were full of affection. From where I stood, I only caught something about two timing. I couldn't see Shen Buyu's face, but as I came closer, I heard her say, "That's not true. You've misunderstood. And it's none of your business." From a few steps away, I called to her, "Honey." Shen Buyu turned around. Only when her eyes landed on me did they finally stir. She walked toward me, took my hand, and led me away. "You're just leaving like that. How else should I leave?" I leaned closer and lowered my voice. "He looks pretty heartbroken. What does that have to do with us?" That left me confused again. Shen Buyu didn't seem to have anything going on with NGÓN. "He likes you." I was certain of it. Shen Buyu didn't deny it, but she seemed to think of something. She gave a cold snort, clearly implying something. Anyone who chooses to be the other man has no self-respect. She had always had such strong principles. I glanced at her for a moment, still somewhat curious. "Why didn't the two of you end up together?" I remembered the Zhang and Zhu families had discussed a marriage match years ago. I didn't like him. But wasn't our marriage also a business arrangement? It shouldn't have been about whether we liked each other either. Truthfully, I could tell Shen Buyu was in a bad mood. Maybe she'd been upset even before the gala began. Or maybe it was after NGÓN showed up. She drank quite a lot that night. When we returned to our room, she leaned against my shoulder. I couldn't tell how drunk she was. As her husband, caring about my wife's feelings was one of my duties. "What's really been going on with you lately?" Shen Buyu looked up at me, and only then did I notice that her eyes were a little red. She looked deeply wronged. She stared at me for a long while before finally speaking. "Fang's you. When will you take me to meet that canary you're keeping on the side? What is it about her that attracts you?" A canary? How did Shen Buyu find out about it? Ever since I learned she might dislike birds, I hadn't planned to mention it to her. We were in an arranged marriage. What was wrong with secretly keeping a little bird outside? I froze for a moment before asking her, "You want to meet her?" "Yes." I took her hand, called the driver, who had only just left, and pulled her to her feet. "Come on, let's go meet her now." Heaven knew how adorable my little bird was. I'd been afraid Shen Buyu wouldn't like it if she found out, so I hadn't even posted about it. I'd only mentioned it once to Yang Jian. Even he didn't seem very supportive of me keeping a bird. One day, I sent him a photo of the bird. Yang Jian simply replied, "Where did this chubby little chicken come from?" "How is she chubby? She's just fluffy. She only looks puffed up because she's so cute." On the way, Shen Buyu was still deeply dejected, but just before we arrived, she suddenly said, "I remember this. It's the villa where you used to live. You let her live here." Of course. What's the problem? Was I supposed to throw my little bird out? She's only a little bird. She's just a bit noisy. What did she ever do wrong? Shen Buyu continued in a quiet voice. "I've never even been here." I didn't quite understand what she meant. It wasn't as if I owned only one property. She simply hadn't visited this particular house. After we got out, Shen Buyu forcefully laced her fingers through mine. Then we walked inside. Aunt Wang woke up and saw it was us. After greeting us, she went back to sleep. "You even assigned someone to take care of her." I finally understood. She was jealous. But why would she be jealous of a perfectly harmless, round little bird? Were drunk women really this unreasonable? I dragged Shen Buyu straight to the aviary in the backyard. I opened the door and went in. The aviary was rather large, but the moment we entered, a chirp sounded from the branches, followed by a stream of bird song. It was actually lovely, just a little loud. The bright yellow little thing suddenly fluttered its wings from the branch. After a few flaps, it landed in my palm. Proudly, I held out the bird in my palm for Shen Buyu to see. "Look, isn't she adorable? This is the canary you're keeping?" "Yes, a Gloucester canary." I stroked the little bird's head. She looked a little fluffier than before, like a tiny yellow pom-pom. I needed to remind Aunt Wang to watch her feeding. "Why would you need to hide the fact that you keep a bird?" Shen Buyu's tone was full of confusion. I looked at her, then at my adorable bird. "Because I heard you hated canaries, so I kept her out here, and only came by occasionally to see her." Shen Buyu looked at the bird in my hand. "I thought it was." "You thought it was what?" Even I could hear what she meant now. Shen Buyu said nothing for a moment. I stared at her for a long while. For once, this formidable woman showed uncertainty on her face. After pressing her for ages, I finally got the truth from her. So you came back early from abroad, and you've been home all the time lately, because you thought I was keeping a woman on the side. I noticed the changes in Shen Buyu lately. She was simply coming home more often, and acting more clingy. Why didn't you tell me the day you came back? Shen Buyu's gaze took on another emotion. I was afraid. Her eyes were still red. She moved closer, and buried her face in the hollow of my neck. What if I came clean, and you chose her instead of me? Hearing that, I truly wanted to shake some sense into Shen Buyu. You're my wife. Who else would I choose? Halfway through, I let out a sigh. Forget it. I was a fault too. I thought she hated birds, while she thought I had a mistress. With the excuse of our arranged marriage between us, neither of us had asked too many questions. Between Shen Buyu and me, there was a serious communication problem. Some people believed the Canary story. Others didn't. They seemed to prefer believing I truly had a mistress. And Lan was one of those who didn't believe it. On the night of Shen Buyu's mother's birthday banquet, and Lan stopped me just as I came out of the restroom. He looked at me coldly. Fang's you, if you don't like Shen Buyu, why did you marry her? When did I ever say I didn't like her? An arranged marriage may require a well-matched families, but I still have to find the woman appealing. I smiled. Shen Buyu is the Zhang family's only daughter. Do you know how many benefits come with marrying her? Do I need to list them all for you, Mr. N? And Lan's face showed an expression of I knew it. So, you're only after her family's money and power. Of course, that wasn't all. I shook my head, uninterested in arguing with him further. Don't think you've hidden it well. Sooner or later, I'll find the mistress you're keeping. Then I'll expose your true colors to the Shen family. How was he supposed to find someone who didn't exist? I turned, folded my arms, and looked at him, almost amused. Then you'd better hurry up and find her. After all, someone prettier than Shen Buyu with a better temper, a better figure, and more money. I probably wouldn't want her either. And Lan said nothing this time. His gaze fell behind me. I turned around and met Shen Buyu's eyes. You hadn't come out, and you weren't answering your phone. So I came to look for you. I took her hand and looked at Lan. But my words were for her. Can't be helped. President Shen is just charming. Someone is standing up for you, saying I can't stay faithful, that I don't deserve you. Shen Buyu fell silent for a moment, then took my hand. She looked at Lan. And Lan, the Zhu family's upbringing, surely doesn't include harassing married people. Please show some self-respect. A flash of resentment crossed in Lan's face. Shen Buyu, why? We knew each other first, and my family proposed a marriage alliance first. You said you weren't considering marriage then. But what did you do? You turned around and married him. Shen Buyu remained unmoved. Why? Because I chose him. And Lan froze. I was surprised too. I rejected you clearly. I never asked you to wait for me. I like Fang's you. That's why I married him. It's that simple. On the way back, I kept glancing sideways at Shen Buyu. Unable to contain my curiosity, I poked her arm. What do you mean? You chose me. Shen Buyu covered her eyes with one hand, as though she wanted to avoid the question. But in the end, she spoke. I like you. I liked you even then. That answer caught me off guard. I'd always thought she only gradually developed feelings for me after we married. Why didn't you pursue me back then? She turned to look at me. There was an unspoken reproach in her. Do you remember what you used to say when turning down other people? You said you had no interest in dating, that your career was all you cared about. A marriage alliance was simply another way to advance your career. I paused. I really had said things like that to fend off my admirers. If you didn't try pursuing me, how did you know I wasn't interested? Maybe I just wasn't interested in them. You're so beautiful. Maybe we could have had a school romance back then. She didn't reply, only pursed her lips and looked out the window. The tips of her ears were red, as if she truly regretted it. Teasing my wife was actually rather fun. Though that night, she was especially needy in bed. I leaned close to her ear and called softly. Junior. We attended the same high school, and I was 1 year above her. The woman beneath me stilled, then kissed me even more tenderly. I coaxed and questioned her at once, insisting she tell me when she'd started liking me, and what exactly she liked about me. After a long time, she finally answered vaguely. You're exceptional. I'm drawn to strength. I was very satisfied with that answer. I kissed her eyes. Funny enough, so am I. When Shen Buyu was 29, we had a daughter. By then, I had established myself within the Fu group. Her career was thriving as well. We loved that child dearly. When we came home from work, we washed and sanitized our hands first, before holding her. At 1 year old, our daughter was chubby and fair-skinned. She smiled whenever she saw us. On countless nights, Shen Buyu and I lay together, imagining 1,000 different futures for her. But it always came down to the same wish. May she be safe and happy. That was enough. We threw our daughter a grand first birthday party. There were countless guests and an extravagant display. We didn't rest until late that night. At last, we saw off the final guest. Shen leaned against the doorway, watching Fang Yu bend down to patiently gather their daughter's toys scattered across the floor. He picked up the canary plushie and patted it. His movements were gentle. Shen wanted to say something like, "You must be tired after such a long day," or, "Our daughter looks so happy today." But the words reached her lips, then went unsaid. She suddenly thought of her former self. Those thoughts she had never voiced silently surged through the night. In 8 days, it was as though another voice spoke softly within her heart. When I realized I liked Fang Yu, I wasn't particularly surprised. He was handsome, and he had a good personality. It was only natural that people liked him. Though we were in different grades and didn't know each other well, we often ended up in the same places. We accepted awards on stage and entered competitions together. We passed each other in hallways or sat at neighboring tables in the library. It was hard not to notice, but all sorts of people liked him. He accepted none of them. I once thought I wasn't someone who held feelings for long. Yet even after I graduated college and joined my family's company, no one else ever made my heart race that way. When his family was choosing him a wife, I went home. Not long after, my parents visited to discuss a marriage alliance between our families, and he agreed. Married life was much as I had imagined, and yet, it wasn't quite the same. I knew Fang Yu hadn't married me out of love. I had once admired his rationality, but it also left me insecure. So, when someone told me he had another woman outside, I wasn't even very surprised. I tried to save our marriage, but the thorn in my heart only sank deeper. I had to pull it out. So I finally gathered the courage to speak openly with him about it. Perhaps we would ultimately end up divorced. To my surprise, Fang Yu was excited. That very night, he took me to see the canary he kept. It was a plump, round, bright yellow little bird. It chirped away in its cage. It was adorable. Fang Yu looked at the bird, then at me. Then he said earnestly, "I love you too." I'd waited many years to hear those words. I am a professional husband. I use the same lawyer every time I get divorced. Until the 10th time, my first ex-wife finally reached the end of her patience. She threw the divorce papers in my face. "I'm your first ex-wife, not your personal attorney. Stop coming to me every time you get divorced." I raised a brow and smiled at her. "What? Is this how you treat your clients? Can I file a complaint against you?" NGÓN glanced at me, her face still expressionless. "Our firm has plenty of excellent attorneys, including ones who specialize in divorce cases. You don't need to come to me every time, but you're the one I trust." I looked at her with utter sincerity. In the end, she gave in. "Your identification and household registration documents. Do the two of you have any children? How will the property be divided?" "No children. No marital assets. I'm the party at fault. I'll leave with nothing." I pulled over a chair and sat down. I looked perfectly calm, but upon hearing that, NGÓN's hands stopped over the keyboard. She drew a deep breath and looked at me, struggling to suppress her anger. "This is the 10th time, Fang Yuan. What exactly are you trying to do? Every time this year, you've been the one at fault, and every time, you wait out the 1-month divorce cooling-off period. What? Do you think marriage is a game?" I looked at her with complete sincerity. "Have I broken the law? No. Then what's the problem? Love between adults. Whether the first marry or divorce is my freedom. What does it have to do with you?" NGÓN stared at me, her expression instantly freezing. "Nothing. But I'm also one of your ex-wives. Do you think it's appropriate to come to me every single time? Isn't it appropriate? Isn't this what you taught me?" I tilted my head, smiling brightly at her. NGÓN ignored me. She tossed the printed divorce agreement at me. "I hope this is the last time." "Let's hope so." I picked up the divorce papers and left. But once outside the law firm, I saw a woman leaning against a sports car. The moment I saw her, I gave her my most professional smile. This was my current wife, Ruyan, the second daughter of the Liu group. She was fiery and outspoken, but she was about to become my ex-wife. When Ruyan saw me, she hurried over. "Is it done?" "It's done. Look it over and see if there are any problems. If not, this marriage is over." I waved the agreement in my hand. She took it and gave me an odd look. "I thought you'd make excuses and refuse to divorce me. Like those men who used to chase after me. They'd act like they couldn't live without me, claiming they loved me, saying they would marry no one but me. Please don't insult my professional ethics. This is what I'm supposed to do. You can contact me again during the cooling-off period." Ruyan pursed her lips. She seemed a little disappointed. "Fine. Thanks for this. If you hadn't helped me, those old fossils in my family would force me on blind dates again. They'd make me marry some rich heir I don't want. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about the divorce for now. But how long we can hide it depends on your efforts." As I spoke, I stepped forward and gently patted her head. As a professional husband, most of my clients are wealthy people. They're single and rich, but don't want to marry. Yet for various reasons, they have no choice but to marry. That's when they come to me. Ruyan was one of them. In front of everyone else, I play the role of their perfect husband. Once the job is done, we get divorced. Then they pay me handsomely. So I only ever talk about money. There are never any extra feelings involved. As I thought that, I was about to say goodbye to Ruyan. But when I looked up, a car had just pulled up by the curb. A man stepped out. I knew him. His name was Song Jinian, and he was a major star now. We graduated from the same performing arts school. He became a hit the moment he debuted. He quickly rose to become a top leading man, and because I bore a passing resemblance to him, I became his stand-in after he got famous. I also owed my bizarre marriage to Bai Ningbing to him. He was Bai Ningbing's first love and idol. I was her idol's substitute. Back then, Bai Ningbing's relationship with him caused quite a stir at school. After he became famous, he dumped Bai Ningbing without hesitation, afraid she'd hurt his career. To provoke him, Bai Ningbing set her sights on me and married me. I was kept in the dark for a long time, until those two met again. Bai Ningbing not only rekindled things with him, she even brought him home to rub it in my face. In the end, Bai Ningbing generously gave me half her assets. Then she dumped me and ran into Song Jinian's arms, and that outrageous stunt of hers opened my eyes to a whole new path. If playing someone's husband was this profitable, doing it for one woman or 10 made no difference. It paid far more than being a stand-in actor. So I became a professional husband, and I got married 9 more times within a year. Song Jinian was briefly stunned when he saw me. Then a mocking smile curled across his lips. But he didn't come over to me. He merely brushed off his shoulder with disdain. Before long, Bai Ningbing walked out of the law firm. The moment he saw her, Song Jinian rushed over and swept her into his arms. Baby, I've been waiting forever. You didn't answer my messages, so I came to find you. You're not mad, are you? Let's go. I just finished work. What should we eat? A rare smile appeared on Bai Ningbing's normally cold face. But Song Jinian didn't answer. Instead, he looked at me with a half smile. That pathetic ex-husband of yours is bothering you again? No wonder you didn't reply to my messages. At that, Bai Ningbing finally noticed Ruyan and me. She swept a cold glance over us. Then she turned to Song Jinian. He's here to file for another divorce. Another one? Song Jinian looked at me contemptuously. Then he looked Ruyan up and down and clicked his tongue. You really are pathetic. You'd settle for any random woman off the street. You used to be my stand-in, and now you found another way to mooch off women? Yes, I can't compete with your market value. My ex-wife is just an ordinary wealthy woman. That's all. As I spoke, I gave Song Jinian a thumbs up. Realizing she'd been mentioned, Ruyan naturally stepped up and linked her arm through mine. That's right. I'm only worth 10 billion. Nothing special. Nothing worth mentioning. By the way, ex-husband, how do you plan to spend the 5 billion I gave you in our divorce? Hearing that, I couldn't help praising Ruyan in my heart. Song Jinian might be a major star now, but he had only become famous in the past few years. His family background was ordinary. He had changed his fate entirely with his face. Not long ago, he had made a bold statement to the media. He said he never latched onto wealthy families because he himself was the wealthy family. But as for his supposed fortune, I doubted it even exceeded 100 million. So I immediately played along with Ruyan. How will I spend it? First, I'll buy a yacht, then a private estate. I'll buy an entertainment company and become its boss. Then I'll hire some famous star to be my stand-in. Ruyan nodded in wholehearted agreement. Not bad. Looks like my teachings did you some good. Sure enough, Song Jinian's smile froze the next second. He glanced at Ruyan and sneered. Miss, perhaps you don't know, but Fang Yuan is that kind of man. Money matters far more to him than feelings. Be careful not to fall for it. As he spoke, he dramatically tossed his fringe. Then he pulled Bai Ningbing closer, pretending to be suave. Our restaurant reservation is almost due. Ningbing, let's go. Don't let irrelevant people ruin your mood. But just after he helped Bai Ningbing into the car, he scurried right back. Shamelessly, he asked Ruyan for her number. I watched him with an amused half smile, but Ruyan shook her head. Don't be like that, superstar. I'm a married woman. I'm still in the divorce cooling off period. I can't betray my husband. Song Jinian finally left with a dark expression. Bai Ningbing sat in the car, looking equally displeased. She stared at me, seeming to want to say something, but in the end, she said nothing. After the two of them left, I turned to Ruyan and held out my hand. Hey, does that 5 billion you promised me still count? I don't have 5 billion. What about the promised 2 million service fee? Can I pay in installments? As she said that, she gave me a high five. I looked at her, silently grumbling to myself, but I kept a calm face. No, a deal is a deal. No late payments. Not a cent less. Short me a cent, and I'll go to your house, cry, make a scene, and sleep there. But to my surprise, the moment I said that, Ruyan was even more shameless than I was. She grabbed my arm directly. Why don't we make this fake marriage real? Then all my money will be yours. Want to consider it? That cost extra. I have professional ethics. Don't think this gets you out of paying my fee. I shoved her away. After that, I went to the bank. Before long, Ruyan transferred my 2 million fee into my account. I checked my account balance and let out a long breath. But just as I was planning how to spend it, my 9th ex-wife called. Hello. Mr. Fang, there is a family gathering at 8 o'clock on Saturday night. I need you to make an appearance. Your fee will be transferred as usual. Alright, I'll be there. After hanging up, I couldn't help twitching my lips. My ninth ex-wife was a top-tier surgeon. Her name was Xinci. She was too busy with work to date and couldn't escape her family's pressure to marry either. So she hired me to play her husband. But we got divorced last month. Still, under our agreement, for 6 months after the divorce, I was obligated to play her husband whenever needed, until the contract expired. Thinking of that, I sighed. Business really is booming. Saturday night, I changed into a very casual outfit and arrived at the gathering. Xinci was extremely busy with work. She was socially anxious and a germaphobe, so she loved quiet and anything white. When I saw her, she was wearing a casual white jacket. I looked down at my clothes. They were white too. When she saw me, she smiled and nodded. Then she elegantly held out her hand. I looked at the spotless white glove on her hand and gave an awkward laugh. Then I put on the gloves I had prepared. Sure enough, the next second, Xinci's furrowed brow relaxed considerably. Then she linked her arm through mine and led me into the grand mansion. The moment we entered, I felt a little awkward. I realized I was the last to arrive. Sure enough, the instant I sat down, a wealthy woman beside Madame Shang started in on me. Xinci's husband is certainly hard to wait for. You never join us for gatherings either. I hear you don't even have a job. What do you do at home all day? What do I do at home? Count money, ma'am. My time is worth money down to the second. Xinci frowned. Seeing that, I looked expressionlessly at the wealthy woman. Xinci works late every day. As her husband, I should naturally take care of our home, while cultivating my mind. Not working lets me take better care of her life. My wife is happy to support me, so mind your own business. The wealthy woman clearly understood what I meant. She froze there, dumbfounded. I placed my hand over Xinci's hand beside me, and smiled at her. Honey, am I right? You're absolutely right, darling. A rare smile appeared on Xinci's face. But just then, another sharp voice rang out. So, you're a house husband? Mr. Fang, do you have any source of income? Or does Ms. Shang support you entirely? Hearing that, I couldn't help turning around. The speaker was actually Bai Ningbing. Song Jinian was beside her. Confused, I looked at Xinci. Xinci explained in a low voice. It turned out, Bai Ningbing was a highly paid lawyer for Madame Shang's company. She must have impressed her mother, which was why she had been invited to the family gathering. After hearing Xinci's explanation, my eyelid twitched. After a year and a half in this business, this was my first time running into 2 ex-wives at once. But I wasn't worried in the slightest, so I immediately put on a smile and took Xinci's hand. Honey, am I so useless that people gossip because I can't support you? Xinci shook her head. Then she looked calmly at Bai Ningbing. My husband naturally has other sources of income, but they're just small ventures, nothing compared with yours. No need to mention them and invite ridicule. Bai Ningbing gave a cold snort, but she had no intention of letting me off so easily. After considering it for a moment, she spoke again. What kind of investments are they? Perhaps I can offer Mr. Fang some analysis. She kept calling me Mr. Fang, as if afraid no one would realize we knew each other. Even Xinci noticed it. She turned to me with concern. Fang Yuan, do you know her? Yes, we know each other. When Xinci saw me nod, she turned and looked at Bai Ningbing almost challengingly. Lawyer Bai, you're a qualified lawyer, aren't you? You should have professional ethics. Why are you branching out into investment advice? Bai Ningbing said nothing. She only gave Xinci a deep look. Song Jinian, who had been silent beside her, could no longer sit still. He was, after all, a major star. But among these wealthy women, he couldn't feel any of his celebrity glow. So he desperately needed a chance to make himself noticed. So, he studied Xinci and me. Then he looked utterly incredulous. Wait, Fang Yuan, I remember seeing you at Ningbing's law firm a few days ago, filing divorce papers. How are you Xinci's husband today? Ningbing, have I been filming so much that I'm confused? Tell me, did I see it wrong? At his words, everyone turned to stare at us, hungry for gossip. Even Xinci beside me, whereupon her brows tightly. My heart jolted when I saw that. Oh no, my client is angry. To keep our act from falling apart, I immediately rose to my feet and pointed at Song Jinian, tears streaming down my face. Mr. Song, I don't know what you mean by that. As a celebrity, you should consider the impact of every word you say. Xinci and I have been married for over a year. We may not often attend events, but we won't let anyone stir up trouble in our marriage. Song Jinian stared at me in bewilderment for a long moment. Then he caught on. A smug smile curved his lips. Trouble in your marriage? It's far more than that. How many wives have you gone through already? Who are you trying to fool? Damn it, he wasn't buying it. He was determined to expose me. Madame Shang finally recovered from her shock. Her expression changed. Is that true? Song Jinian proudly lifted his chin. He looked at Xinci with false sympathy. Miss Shang, Please don't be too upset. Fang Yuan was my college classmate. His own mother jumped from the school rooftop back then. Even creditors came knocking at his door. I pitied him, so I let him work as my body double. But he turned around and seduced a female producer, trying to sleep his way to the top. Fang Yuan, do I need to continue? Stop deceiving everyone. After saying that, Song Jinian watched me expectantly. At that moment, everyone there looked at me with contempt because of his words. I remained seated, keeping a smile on my face, but inwardly, I was anything but calm. But just then, Xinci, who had remained silent, suddenly stood. She placed her hand over mine and leaned into my arms. Calmly, she swept her gaze across the room. My apologies, everyone. My husband and I have had a few conflicts lately, but we never considered divorce. I never expected someone to exploit that and drive us apart. Had I known, I would never have brought him to this family dinner. Now he has suffered such a baseless accusation. As she spoke, she turned and looked at me seriously. Honey, I'm sorry you had to endure this. I never expected Xinci to defend me so fiercely. I was so touched I nearly cried. So I pulled her into my arms. I theatrically shed a few tears and patted her back. Where could I find such an amazing client? I decided I'd give her a 30% discount. Watching from the side, Bai Ningbing couldn't sit still any longer. She stood and grabbed Song Jinian's arm. Jinian, you're drunk. My apologies, everyone. My boyfriend has probably been filming too much lately and can't tell reality from fiction anymore. I've never seen Mr. Fang at my law firm. The only reason we know each other is that we exchanged a few words at a banquet before. Song Jinian stared at Bai Ningbing in shock, and I hadn't expected it either. Bai Ningbing hadn't exposed me. After that mess, the family dinner naturally ended on a sour note. Xinci left with me, but the moment we reached the garden, we ran into Bai Ningbing, who had used taking Song Jinian home as an excuse. The two women met and instantly went head-to-head. Xinci clung tightly to my arm, almost pressing her whole body against me. Bai Ningbing, meanwhile, stared fixedly at Xinci. Their eyes clashed for a moment. Xinci spoke first. What can I do for you, Lawyer Bai? I'd like to speak with Fang Yuan. Xinci gave her a mocking once-over. I'm afraid that won't be convenient. Your boyfriend hurt my husband. He needs to rest properly now. Is that so? I'm sorry, Mr. Fang. Would you talk with me and accept my apology? I wanted to say no, but I did need to speak with Bai Ningbing. She had handled so many divorce agreements for me. Naturally, she knew all my ex-wives well. She had attended Xinci's family dinner today. I didn't know whether it was intentional. At that thought, I gave Xinci an apologetic look. Wait in the car. Give me 5 minutes. Xinci was sensible. Though she was somewhat angry, she still let go of my hand. But before getting in the car, she used straightening my collar as an excuse to whisper in my ear. Don't worry. I'll be nearby. Call me if you need me. After saying that, she leaned toward my lips and kissed me. I stared at her in surprise. This was Xinci's first time being so forward. Xinci shot Bai Ningbing a cold look, then headed for the parking lot. The moment she left, Bai Ningbing strode over and closed in on me. Fang Yuan, will you still not tell me what you're doing? 3 days ago, you filed divorce papers with Miss Fu. Now you're attending a family dinner with an ex-wife from 2 marriages ago. What shady scheme are you involved in? Hearing that, I looked up and smiled at her. Lawyer Bai, as an attorney, you should be responsible for your words. First, I haven't broken any law. Second, I haven't harmed anyone's interest. I merely attended an event for my ex-wife. How does that make me shady? Bai Ningbing grabbed my hand. She looked at me for a long time before speaking. Is what Jinian said about you seducing a producer true? If you believe it, what good is my answer? If you only wanted to ask something so pointless, then excuse me, but I won't stay. I gave a mocking smile and turned to leave, but Bai Ningbing stopped me again. You did it on purpose. You did all this to make me jealous? Fang Yuan, you know, Jinian is the only one I love. It really isn't worth doing this for me. I fell silent. I admit I kept asking Bai Ningbing to draft divorce agreements, partly out of revenge. But I understood her, too. She was deeply professional. Even with those close to her, she would never casually reveal client secrets. Otherwise, Song Jinian would have known I had 10 ex-wives. So, between us, it was strictly business. There were no personal feelings at all. Even if there had been, it was only in the past. I once thought she was my salvation, but reality proved me wrong. I was just a stand-in. Song Jinian was right at the family dinner. My family had enormous debts. Though I grew up wealthy, in my junior year of college, my father's company was found to have quality issues. Overnight, investors pulled out one after another. To keep the company running, my father took on huge debts, but the company still went bankrupt. Creditors came to our door demanding payment. They took every valuable thing in our home. During an argument with them, my father suffered a hypertensive crisis and died. Afterward, to survive, my mother was forced to marry a man in his 70s. Naturally, I refused to accept it. I even said things that hurt my mother. So my grief-stricken impulsive mother came to my school and jumped from the school building. That was when I learned dreams don't mean a thing in the face of reality. Later, I wanted fame. I wanted to act and earn money to repay our debts, but I didn't have that luck. Then, at that moment, Bai Ningbing entered my life like a beam of light. But what happened? Thinking of it, I laughed bitterly. Then I looked at Bai Ningbing. Just assume I did all this for you, but I still hope you'll keep my secret. I need money. A lot of money. Consider this repayment for what you owed me. I won't trouble you again. After that, I left the garden. When I reached the parking lot, I saw Shang Xinci waiting in the car. Seeing I was upset, she didn't ask more. She offered to drive. On the way, she looked at me. Are you alright? Sorry. I almost ruined your family dinner today. I failed at my job. I forced a bright smile. Shang Xinqi's lips curved slightly. Don't worry. You won't lose a cent. It was my fault you had to face those rumors today. I should compensate you more. I really like rich people like you. You use money to heal wounded hearts at the slightest conflict. What a wonderful quality. When Shang Xinci saw I was silent, she hesitated before asking. Fang Yuan, your parents, they died long ago. It isn't important. Next time, I'll make up a perfect made-up family background. I won't make that mistake again. Shang Xinci suddenly slammed on the brakes. She removed her white gloves and turned to me with an earnest gaze. You know that's not what I meant. Fang Yuan, I want to know more about you. Will you give me that chance? I was stunned for a long moment before I understood. Alright, I'll send my information to your phone again. Don't worry. I'll include every detail. We'll prepare our cover story in advance. Thank goodness you covered for me today. I'm not trying to investigate you. Fang Yuan. That kiss just now. I know you did it deliberately as an act. You wanted Bai Ningbing to stop bothering me. Don't worry. I won't flatter myself into thinking you like me. Shang Xinci frowned, seemingly a little angry. I tried to get out, but the door wouldn't open. I looked at her in surprise. But the next second, her face moved close to mine. Very close. That kiss was real. It wasn't an act. I stared at her in shock. For a moment, I forgot to speak. Seeing no response, Shang Xinci bit her lip. Fang Yuan. Are you even a man? How am I not a man? Just as I was about to prove it, I realized we'd reached my apartment complex. So I quickly changed the subject. I'm here. Thanks for the ride. Ex-wife number 9. Number 9? That's right. There were 8 before you. Shang Xinci wanted to ask more, but I had already gotten out. The family dinner had been a wake-up call, so the moment I got home, I ended my contracts with my first 8 ex-wives. It meant losing extra income, but I had already made quite a lot. Once I handled things with Ruyan and Shang Xinci, with both of them, I could repay all my debts. At that thought, I nearly jumped for joy, but doubt also rose in my heart. I couldn't understand it. Every one of my ex-wives was beautiful and wealthy. Why were they so unwilling to find boyfriends? Why hire someone to pretend to be their husband? Then I received an invitation from ex-wife number 8. She asked me to dinner. She said she valued ceremony. Even ending a contract called for a farewell meal. I hesitated. This ex-wife number 8 was a minor actress. Among my fake ex-wives, she was the least impressive, but she was shrewd and smooth-talking. She also had an adorable baby face. Her reason for our fake marriage was bizarre, too. The male idols she secretly loved had found someone else. She couldn't accept it as his hopeless admirer. She wanted to throw a marriage certificate in his face. So she used her connections to find me and entered a fake marriage with me. She rarely contacted me otherwise. Our marriage lasted less than a week before we quickly got divorced. Since we were already divorced, there was no need to stay in touch. Thinking that, I was about to refuse, but then I heard her speak. 1 million. Miss, your sincerity has moved me. Where shall we meet? Later, I disguised myself as a delivery driver and went to her door. But just as I was about to knock, ex-wife number 8 pulled me straight inside. The moment I entered, I saw the candlelit dinner she had prepared. She reeked of alcohol. She threw herself into my arms as soon as I entered. I frowned and quickly dodged her hands. Thanks for arranging this, but I do not like steak. Ex-wife number 8 froze for a moment, but a smile soon appeared on her face. She leaned closer and rubbed her cheek against my arm. Big brother, I am unhappy today. Will you have a few drinks with me? We can drink, but if we get drunk, I am not responsible for what happens. With a sly smile, I pushed her away. I changed my shoes and sat by the table. She propped up her chin and watched me. Big brother, you're so busy. I have asked you out several times, but you never came. Do you have other clients besides me? I do have clients. Even if I could clone myself, I couldn't keep up with them all. I am just trying to make a living. As she listened, ex-wife number 8 poured me a glass of red wine. I've had it rough too. I've been in show business for so long, but I have no hope of making it big. How so? Maybe I will hear some juicy gossip. I downed the wine in one gulp. I immediately felt it had quite a kick. But ex-wife number 8 leaned close to my ear and softly breathed. Big brother, tell me, how can I become famous? I gently pushed her away to keep my distance. Then I began explaining, until she suddenly interrupted me. Big brother, How many ex-wives do you have? If I collected that many ex-husbands too, could I become famous? Only 10. 10? That is so many. Big brother, you are amazing. At those words, my mind suddenly cleared. I realized she seemed to be fishing for information. So I stood up, intending to leave. But she suddenly hugged me from behind. My head spun, and my legs went weak, and I crashed straight to the floor. She shamelessly pressed herself against me, pretending I had assaulted her. If I reported you for attempted assault, how many years would you go to prison? My head instantly went numb. Through my haze, I saw a man walk out of the bedroom. It was Song Jinian. He was holding up a phone. Well, Fang Yuan, you really know how to play. 10 ex-wives. Can you really handle them all? Lying on the floor, I struggled to prop myself up. I shot him a resentful glare, then looked at ex-wife number 8 beside me. Ex-wife number 8 spread her hands innocently. Sorry, dear ex-husband. My idol asked me to lure you out. I could not exactly refuse him. The moment I heard that, I understood. Ex-wife number 8 was actually Song Jinian's pathetic fangirl. Realizing that, I forced myself to calm down. Then I turned a cold gaze on Song Jinian. Song Jinian, are you trying to frame me? I have not done anything. You can't pin anything on me. Song Jinian toyed with his phone, looking at me mockingly. Maybe I cannot make much of it, but once they know, you had so many ex-wives before them, do you think they will still so devoted to you? If you ask me, you are not even as good as I am. Why do you get so many outstanding ex-wives? You must have deceived them all. So, I will expose you in public. I will show them that you are a shameless criminal. As Song Jinian spoke, his expression gradually turned manic. Looking at him, I could only think he was seriously unwell. So, I did not panic. I waved a hand and said, Fine, Song Jinian, I can call them all over, but you cannot call the police. After all, you have something on me now. There is no need to make this ugly, right? With that, I went to make the call, but ex-wife number 8 snatched my phone away. She unlocked it with my fingerprint and opened my contacts. She took a quick look, then said to Song Jinian beside her, Jinian, there are only a few people in his contacts. They should all be his ex-wives. Should we call them all over? Call them. Call every one of them. I want them all to see this man's true colors. Song Jinian smiled smugly. As for me, I closed my eyes and waited quietly. Half an hour later, a chorus of knocks rang out at the door. Song Jinian had prepared his accusations against me, but when the door opened, he saw 3 women standing outside. Ruyan, Shang, Xinci, and by Ningbing. When Ruyan saw the door open, she shoved Song Jinian aside without a word. As she stormed inside, she shouted, Where is my husband? If even one hair on my husband's head is harmed, I will buy your company, blacklist you, and make sure you never act again. Shang Xinci removed her gloves and coldly stared at Song Jinian and ex-wife number 8. I heard my husband is here. I am here to take him home. Bai Ningbing stared at them too, but said nothing. That left Song Jinian confused. Under Song Jinian's questioning gaze, Bai Ningbing looked elsewhere instead. Then she quickly spotted me. She brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear and spoke to me. Fang Yuan, if you need legal help, come to me. At that, Song Jinian's eyes turned red with rage. His face twisted. Meanwhile, I leaned against the living room sofa, raised an arm, and called out, Ex-wives, I am over here. Come rescue me. Ruyan rushed over first. She tenderly felt my forehead. How are you? Did they do anything improper to you? That should be up to me. I have not done anything yet. Shang Xinci was not one for words, but she was already taking action. She struggled to help me up from the floor. Ignoring the filthy vomit on me, she carefully wiped the corners of my mouth. I was deeply moved. Once she saw I was not seriously hurt, Shang Xinci turned around and swept a cold glance over Song Jinian and ex-wife number 8. Why did you call us here? Song Jinian was instantly dumbfounded. He could not react. Only when ex-wife number 8 tugged his arm did he snap back to his senses. Oh, right? I contacted you to tell you one thing. This Fang Yuan, he deceived you. Before you, he had many other ex-wives. You are only numbers 9 and 10. He married you just to scam you for money. He will stop at nothing. He is greedy for money. You have all been fooled. After hearing him out, the ex-wives present said nothing. Meanwhile, I lay slumped in Shang Xinqi's arms, looking at Song Jinian with some pity. Song Jinian thought his words had shocked them all. So, his expression immediately turned smug. I am doing a good deed, exposing his true colors to you. The woman beside me was fooled by him too. He went to his ex-wife's home in the middle of the night and tried to take advantage of her. Hearing that, Bai Ningbing was the first to frown. She strode over, trying to pull me from Shang Xinqi's arms. Unfortunately, she underestimated Shang Xinqi's strength. When she could not take me, she grabbed my wrist with a stiff expression. Fang Yuan, explain yourself. Why were you in this woman's home in the dead of night? Exactly. Big brother Fang Yuan, you were wrong to do that. Her house does not even have a bottle of 1980 to vintage wine. Why would you come drinking at some poor girl's place? What? Is my family's private winery not good enough for you? Drinking is bad for you. I just finished surgery. If you get drunk, I cannot take care of you. You will make me worry. Watching my ex-wives put on a better act than I could, I suddenly felt utterly outclassed. So I cautiously said, then I know I was wrong. But this scene left Song Jinian standing nearby, dumbfounded. He stared at the three women in disbelief. Have you lost your minds? Or was I not clear enough? Fang Yuan has been fooling around with several women behind your backs. Are you not angry? Mr. Song, I do not know why you are maliciously slandering my husband, but he is the perfect husband to me. If you continue this, I will take legal action. At Shang Xinqi's words, Ruyan objected. Ma'am, let me correct you on one point. Fang Yuan is my husband now. At most, you are his ex-wife. Put my husband down. As for this woman slandering my husband, my family's lawyers will send her a legal notice. I am a lawyer. Seen by Ningbing join into. Song Jinian was utterly stunned. He had imagined I would be abandoned and cursed at, but none of it happened. With rage and jealousy, his face slowly twisted. What spell did Fang Yuan put you under? He is clearly a shameless. But before he could finish, Bai Ningbing slapped him across the face. Song Jinian was completely stunned. Clutching his face, he stared in disbelief at Bai Ningbing. Jinian, what happened between Fang Yuan and me is long over. There is no need for you to keep causing him trouble. You are a celebrity. You should not stoop this low. You should focus on making good films and portraying your roles well, instead of acting like a jealous woman, fighting out of jealousy. Hearing that, I silently cheered her on. It was the first time I had seen Bai Ningbing defend me. I forced myself to stand steady and looked at Song Jinian. I do not know why you bear me such malice, but I want to tell you this. What happened between Bai Ningbing and me back then was not what you think. On the contrary, you two were the ones who dragged me into it. Your own affairs. Sort them out yourselves. As for matters between me and my ex-wives, stay out of them. After saying that, I prepared to make a stylish exit, but Ruyan and Shang Xinci came right over, supporting me on either side. Seeing that, my mouth twitched. At least let me look cool for once, because I could really eat. I was chosen to treat the Shen family's younger daughter for anorexia. When we first met, she had just fought with her younger boyfriend. She was so angry she had not eaten all day, and she looked at me irritably. Comments flashed rapidly across the air. Here we go. That scheming supporting guy is definitely going to seduce the heroine now. Can the supporting guy not know his place? Even if they fought, our heroine still loves the male lead, okay? I was still chewing when the comments scared me stiff. In the end, I silently held out the food in my hand. With my mouth full, I mumbled, you want some dragon fruit? Led by a servant, I arrived at the Shen family's younger daughter's bedroom door. To the sound of violent smashing inside, I heard the young miss had fought with her younger boyfriend again. Shen Ruyan had always been hot-tempered and impossible to control. Only her younger boyfriend could rein her in a little. This fight had triggered her anorexia again. Shen Ruyan had locked herself in her room and had not eaten all day. The doctor said finding someone who loved eating to eat in front of her might stimulate her appetite. That was why Madame Shen found me. I was the biggest eater in my village. I ate 4 meals a day, and every bite tasted great. She said she would hire me to put on an eating show and pay to treat my grandfather's illness. So I came. At that moment, I was still clutching the dragon fruit a servant had casually shoved into my hand. The servant was getting a headache from the noise inside, so she simply pushed me forward. Go in yourself. I have things to do, so I am leaving. The moment she left, I eagerly peeled the dragon fruit and took a huge bite. Its sweet, delicate flesh burst across my tongue. No wonder they were rich. Even their fruit tasted this good. Still eating, I pushed open the door. The room was a complete mess. Shen Ryan's features were sharp, her expression dark. Hearing me, she turned toward me with open irritation. Our eyes met. At that moment, comments suddenly floated through the air. Here we go. That scheming supporting guy is definitely going to seduce the heroine now. Can the supporting guy not know his place? Even if they fought, our heroine still loves the male lead, okay? If the supporting guy dares to have ulterior motives, the heroine will toss him onto the street to eat garbage. That comment scared me so much I stopped chewing. I stared blankly at the floating comments. When Shen Ryan saw I was silent, she grew more impatient. She clicked her tongue, looking at the juice around my mouth, then at the dragon fruit in my hand. Maybe she stared at it too long, so I thought she wanted some too. So, trembling, I reluctantly offered her my beloved dragon fruit. Before I could even swallow my bite, I timidly mumbled, do you want some dragon fruit? With a hand pressed to her brow, Shen Ryan said coldly, get out. I silently took back my dragon fruit. That night, Shen Ryan still did not come out to eat. I thought I would probably be fired soon. After all, Shen Ryan clearly did not want me to treat her anorexia. That night, I lay in the room the servants had prepared for me, feeling more miserable the more I thought about it. I worried so much that my stomach started growling. Since I never got to perform my eating, I had only eaten 1 dragon fruit for dinner. I was starving by then. Unable to resist, I slipped out of bed and sneaked into the kitchen. I checked the ingredients in the refrigerator and decided to make myself tomato and egg noodles. As I cooked, I thought it over and added an extra sausage. For balance, I tossed in a handful of greens. At last, a big pot of fragrant noodles was ready. The tomato broth was rich, sweet, and tangy with tender scrambled eggs. The noodles were smooth and springy, topped with bright green vegetables. I squatted in the kitchen and dug in. Just as I was completely lost in my meal, a noise suddenly came from outside. I looked up in fright and met Shen Ryan's unreadable eyes. I had no idea how long she had been watching me. 3 minutes later, a dim light came on in the dining room. I sat at the table and ate my noodles. Shen Ryan quietly watched from beside me. At first, her unblinking stare made me uncomfortable, but once the noodles hit my mouth, I stopped caring about that. After finishing, I wanted another bowl. Shen Ryan finally asked, puzzled, "Is it that good?" My cheeks were stuffed, so I could not answer. I could only nod eagerly, eyes shining. Shen Ryan seemed to laugh. "Why are you so goofy?" Then she casually ordered me, "Then get me a bowl." My eyes curved with delight. Still chewing, I kept nodding. Luckily, I had made enough for 3 bowls. I could have eaten all 3 myself, but to keep this job, I could spare Shen Ryan one. So I brought out 2 more bowls of noodles. The noodles had softened, but they had soaked up more flavor, saturated with broth. I handed her chopsticks. "Try it. Mine is really good." As expected of a Shen daughter, even the way she ate was elegant. Once she took a bite, I forgot about my own food and hurriedly asked, "How is it?" Shen Ryan did not answer. "Keep eating." "Okay." I eagerly picked up my chopsticks and kept eating. I even drank every last drop of broth. When I finished, I saw Shen Ryan had eaten more than half her bowl too. The comments were stunned. "Wait, heroine. What happened to your anorexia? Weren't you supposed to feel like throwing up at the sight of food? You just ate nearly half a bowl of noodles in one go." That said, I really want tomato and egg noodles too. This is making me hungry in the middle of the night. That supporting guy eats so deliciously. I am drooling. After that, I successfully stayed with the Shen family. Shen Ryan's anorexia had given her severe stomach problems. Madam Shen said that for every meal I got her to eat, she would pay me 1,000 yuan. If she ate a few bites of fruitcake, that was another 1,000. So for a while after that, I followed Shen Ryan around, trying to coax her into eating more. Gradually, Shen Ryan finally began eating a little more. Madam Shen was thrilled. She even transferred me to Shen Ryan's school, so I could make sure she ate there too. One day, as usual, I placed a sweet mango-filled cake on her desk, then rushed back to my classroom. Over the past few days, I had noticed that when Shen Ryan ate fruit, she would take a few extra bites of mango. After class, I eagerly went to find her, to see whether she had eaten it. But when I reached her classroom, it was utter chaos. Shen Ryan's younger boyfriend clutched his chest, struggling to breathe. His arms were covered in red hives. Shen Ryan anxiously asked, "What happened?" The boy looked at me and pointed at me through tears. "Fangs, you said I could eat it too. So I did." Who knew he had hidden mango in it? Even though I am allergic. The comments exploded. I knew the supporting guy could not keep himself from causing trouble. See, his act did not last long. He deliberately fed our male lead mango to trigger his allergy. I picked up the cake with the bite missing and anxiously explained, "I clearly told you it was mango cake." He asked whether he could eat it. I did not think much of it. I only said he could if Shen Ryan agreed, and I told him it was mango cake. But the male lead and Lan would not listen. He only pointed at me and whined to Shen Ryan. But I just did not hear him say that. "Ryan, it hurts so much." Frowning, I tried to explain again. "How could you not have heard? If you do not believe me, we can check the security footage." And Lan's accusation was actually clumsy. All I had to do was pull the footage or ask those present to testify, and I could prove my innocence. I looked hopefully at Shen Ryan, wanting her to believe me. But Lan clutched his chest, his face pale, his eyes brimming with tears. He only looked stubbornly at her. Shen Ryan forgot about everything else. She pulled him into her arms, heartbroken. Before I could say another word, she had lost patience. She swatted the cake box from my hands onto the floor, cradling and Lan carefully. Shen Ryan cut me off irritably. "Enough. And Lan has always been straightforward. Would he lie to me? Stop making excuses." With that, she took Lan to the hospital. I blankly watched her walk away. A wave of grievance rose in me, not because I had been falsely accused, but because I thought, damn it, I just lost another 1,000 yuan. I silently calculated how many more meals Shen Ryan had to eat before I could afford Grandpa's surgery. The answer was at least 70 more meals. Fortunately, Lan's allergy was treated in time, and nothing serious happened. So after Shen Ryan gave me the cold shoulder for 3 days, she finally deigned to speak to me again. It was already 9 at night when she called. Her voice was lazy and casual. "Hey, dummy, go buy me pear blossom pastries from that shop on the west side. Hurry. I want some. The shop closed at 10 at night. That meant I had 1 hour to reach the west side. But the thought of earning money made my eyes light up. Then wait a moment. I am going now. The next second, I heard teasing laughter on the other end. Ruyan, where did you find this little housekeeper? He is ridiculously obedient. He talks so softly, anyone would think he was soothing a child. I could not help frowning. I had grown up in the southern countryside, so even speaking Mandarin, I could not hide my accent. Shen Ruyan seemed in a great mood and hummed in response. Smiling, she urged me, go on, hurry. So after buying the pastries, I rushed to the location Shen Ruyan sent me. It was already past 10 at night. Clutching the pastries, I stood bewildered on the empty street. A few old streetlights flickered overhead. I called Shen Ruyan 3 times, but her phone was off. So I squatted beneath the streetlight and waited a long time. I could not resist sneaking 1 pastry. She still did not answer my 5th call. Chewing the pastry, I sadly realized Shen Ruyan had played me. I squatted so long that my legs went numb. Only then did Shen Ruyan finally call me. Her tone was careless. And Lan had an allergic reaction because of you. He holds grudges and has quite a temper. Do not worry. This is only a lesson for you. Remember it next time. On the other end. And Lan seemingly gave her an indignant little punch. I do not hold grudges. Shen Ruyan laughed helplessly. Fine, fine. You do not hold grudges. Then she told me, I sent you the new address. Get here quickly. I wiped my face, thinking that since it had come to this, it was enough that Shen Ruyan was still willing to eat. Otherwise, tonight would have been a total waste. When I reached the private room, laughter and chatter spilled out from inside. I opened the door. Amid everyone's cheering, and Lan seemed to have just kissed Shen Ruyan. The comments went wild. Their love is so pure. Our male lead gets so shy from 1 kiss. I think he wanted the supporting guy to see it. That subtle claim of ownership is adorable. The supporting guy still does not know, does he? Those pear blossom pastries were for the male lead. So funny. Simps always end up with nothing. And Lan's cheeks were still red from his stolen kiss. When he saw me enter, he walked over. He casually took the pastries from me. Thanks for buying these for me. He picked one up and put it in his mouth, then offered one to Shen Ruyan. Ruyan, you should try one too. And Lan held the pastry to her lips. Shen Ruyan instinctively frowned. She quietly avoided it. Then she said normally, I will not eat it. You eat. All right. And Lan lost interest. Then I do not want any either. He casually tossed the remaining pastries aside. I did not cry when I went west at night to buy pastries. I did not cry after squatting on the street for an hour at midnight. But now I learned Shen Ruyan never wanted to eat at all. My world collapsed. Everything that happened that night piled up. I held it in. But my eyes still reddened. Still unwilling to give up, I picked up another pastry. I asked Shen Ruyan, you really will not try one? The women beside her laughed. Your little housekeeper is so obedient. You said you wanted pear blossom pastries, and he worried over it all night. Just take a bite already. He looks like he is about to cry. Shen Ruyan seemed to be in a better mood again. The pear blossom pastries that had looked disgusting moments ago now did not seem so unbearable. Her lips curved as she finally took the pastry from my hand. She slowly ate it. After leaving the private room, I finally broke down crying. I walked to the nearby night market. Through tears, I ordered a loaded savory pancake. Back at the villa, I wiped my tears while gnawing on the pancake. The butler was startled and hurriedly brought me inside. I had become familiar with everyone there by then. He cried out, why are you crying while eating a pancake? It is so good. It made me cry. With the pancake in my mouth, I sniffled and complained. So many pear blossom pastries were wasted. She never wanted to eat them. She was just messing with me. The butler understood. Sighing, he led me into the living room. But an unfamiliar woman was sitting in the living room. She wore a custom designer gown. Hearing us, she quietly turned her cool, deep eyes on me. The butler hurriedly introduced me. Miss, this is the person Madam hired to treat Miss Shen's eating disorder. I had been bad-mouthing Shen Ruyan, and her sister heard me. I felt awkward. I softly said hello. The woman gave me a calm glance and nodded slightly. Seeing my pancake, the butler said disapprovingly, how can just a pancake be enough? What else do you want? I will make it. I blinked. I want wontons too. Soon, the wontons arrived. Steaming wontons went perfectly with the pancake. My appetite surged, and I immediately dug in. But soon, I felt a probing gaze settle on me. After a while, she walked over. She said nothing and simply watched me eat. My cheeks were full, so I could not speak. I looked at her questioningly. After a long pause, she finally spoke. How much did mother offer you? 1,000 yuan for each meal Shen Ruyan eats. She seemed to laugh softly, then asked, would you mind taking another job? Make sure I eat on time and eat with me. How about 10,000 yuan per meal? I stared in shock and nearly choked. Her fingertips twitched, but she could not resist. She reached out and gently pinched my cheek. When I remained silent, she considered it. Too little. Then 20,000. She was as composed as if negotiating a business contract. I will never have anorexia. I will eat the meals you bring on time, and I will not make you cry. Is that all right? After a long moment, I asked with wide eyes. Really? She nodded. I will not lie to you. Later, I learned from the servants that of the Shen families to daughters, Shen Ruyan had anorexia, while Shen Buyu was a complete workaholic. Though Shen Buyu was only 4 years older than Shen Ruyan, she started a successful business in college. After graduation, she took over the family business. She often became so immersed in work that she forgot to eat. Only when her stomach burned fiercely at night did she realize she had skipped meals. In the end, we agreed on 10,000 yuan per meal. With Shen Buyu as my major new client, I could save enough money faster and get grandpa better medical care. Shen Ruyan did not come looking for me over the next 3 days. This time, I did not seek her out either. Instead, I learned more about Shen Buyu's food preferences. On the 4th day, I returned to class after lunch. Most people had gone for their midday break. Shen Ruyan, whom I had not spoken to for days, was lazily sitting in my seat. She raised an eyebrow. Been busy lately. Why have you not come to see me? I walked over, not wanting to respond. Shen Ruyan touched my cheek. Curiously, she asked, "Are you angry?" I took out my textbook and said nothing. She had been spoiled since childhood and rarely faced rejection. For a moment, she fell silent too. Another minute passed. A box of exquisite pastries was silently pushed onto my textbook. Beside it was a slice of my favorite milfio cake. I finally looked at her and asked, "Are you apologizing?" Apologizing. Shen Ruyan froze. That word had never existed in her vocabulary. Even when she fought with Lan, he always backed down first. Shen Ruyan did not answer. She only said, "I bought them for you." Then, as usual, she gave an order. "Dummy, we are having dinner together tonight." I had not expected Shen Ruyan to initiate a meal. It was as if 1,000 yuan was waving at me. All right, I sighed, not wanting to dwell on it anymore. After all, who would turn down money? The freshly baked cookies smelled irresistible. They were sprinkled with crunchy chopped nuts. I popped one into my mouth, and my eyes lit up. Chew, chew, chew. Delicious. One more bite. After eating nearly half the box, I noticed Shen Ruyan had been sitting beside me the whole time. I took out another cookie and offered it to her. Without much hope, I casually asked, "Do you want one?" Shen Ruyan lowered her gaze. She saw the pale golden cookie pinched between my slender fingertips. It looked unexpectedly tempting. A faint laugh escaped her throat. Then she lowered her head slightly. Her lips lightly brushed my fingertips. The touch was warm. I jerked my hand back and immediately put distance between us. I frowned in disapproval. The next second, the cream cake beside me flew into the air. Then it smashed straight into my head. Sticky cream tangled in my hair, then slowly slid to the floor. And Lan's shrill voice rang out, "Don't you love eating? I will make sure you get your fill." I slowly wiped my cheek. My hand came away covered in jam and cake. The male lead is so fierce. What kind of man flirts with someone else's girlfriend every day? Look how angry he has made our male lead. Still, I do not think the supporting guy did anything wrong. Please, stop defending him. Feeding someone else's girlfriend. If that is not flirting, what is? I was stunned for only a second. Then I came to my senses. I grabbed the full glass of water beside me and fiercely splashed it at Lan, but the whole glass splashed onto Shen Ruyan. The comments erupted in delight. The heroine protecting her man is so cool. That was completely instinctive. I am sold on this pairing. I am dying. The supporting guy looks like a clown now. Everything happened in a flash. For a moment, Shen Ruyan's face went blank. When she came to her senses, she saw my hair messily covered in cream and jam, while Lan was unharmed. With red, aggrieved eyes, he hid behind her. "Ruyan, thank you. Without you, I would have looked pathetic just now." This time, Shen Ruyan did not respond to Lan at once. She only looked at me. Seconds later, she spoke with a frown. "Lan is immature. Do not take it personally." Lan pouted in protest. "Why pity a mere nanny?" I looked at them without a word. The atmosphere instantly went stiff. Shen Ruyan had probably never seen this expression on me. A rare flicker of panic crossed her eyes. She blurted out, "That is just how Lan is. Have to get angry with him. All right, I will help you clean up. I will pay you 10 times the cost of your clothes." As she spoke, she reached for me, but I calmly moved away. "No need." Shen Ruyan rarely softened her tone. "Then I'll have the housekeeper make your favorite dishes tonight. We'll eat together." I looked up into her eyes, then said, word by word, "No need. Not ever again." Standing at the school gate, I felt lost. For a moment, I did not know where to go. Then I suddenly remembered. It had been so long since I ate Grandpa's wood-fired cooking. As I stood there in a daze, a sleek luxury car pulled up before me. The rear window rolled down. The woman inside looked at me. "How did you end up like this?" My surprise made me forget my sadness for a moment. "Shouldn't Shen Buyu be at work right now? What are you doing here? I thought something might have happened to you." As she spoke, the driver got out and opened the door for me. Shen Buyu took out a handkerchief and carefully wiped my hair clean. Then she gently wiped my cheek. It somehow made me itch. She took me to her private apartment, then had me take a shower. When I came out afterward, Shen Buyu's assistant had just delivered dinner to the door. He solemnly said, "Mr. Fang, please make sure President Sheng gets her dinner. I nodded, though I did not understand. The assistant let out a huge sigh of relief. With a world-weary look, he patted my shoulder. Good luck, Mr. Fang. Without overthinking it, I went to call Shen Buyu from the study. Only after entering did I realize she was in a video meeting. I remembered what the housekeeper had said. Shen Buyu hated being disturbed while she worked. As I hesitated, Shen Buyu looked over at me. With no other choice, I forced myself to say, Miss Shen, it is time to eat. The video meeting fell silent, but Buyu remained composed and calmly told the meeting, we'll end here for today. Then she shut her laptop. The food was already set on the table. Shen Buyu ate nothing like I did. She ate with grace and refinement. Unlike Shen Ruyan, she was neither picky nor averse to food. She was a pleasure to watch. I could not help thinking the assistant had overreacted. Shen Buyu clearly ate on time, without complaint. Maybe I watched her for too long. Shen Buyu finally set down her chopsticks and looked at me, still upset. I did not understand at first. Huh? She reassured me. About Inlan's mango allergy. I had someone retrieve the security footage. This was not your fault. I sent the footage to Shen Ryan's phone. Whether she believes it is up to her, but you deserve to be cleared, thanks you. I was stunned. I never expected she had quietly settled this for me. After a long while, I muttered, thank you. After thinking for a moment, Shen Buyu somehow produced a little cake. She asked, want some? I knew she might be trying to cheer me up, but whenever I saw cake now, I could not help recalling what happened at school. My mood sank with it, but 2 seconds later, I suddenly realized, because Shen Ruyan and Inlan, I had lost my love for little cakes. They were no longer a symbol of sweetness to me. They now brought nausea, anger, and sadness. At that realization, I frowned deeply. How could this be? Little cakes were innocent. How could I possibly hate little cakes? With that thought, I finally made up my mind. I took out my phone and wrote a message to Mrs. Shen. I am sorry, ma'am. I do not think I am suited to this job. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, but I have decided to resign. I also hope your daughter's eating disorder improves soon. After sending it, I felt utterly refreshed, like I could eat 5 little cakes in one go again. Then comments floated by. Great. The supporting guy has angered both leads now. He can wait until the heroine throws him onto the street to scavenge through garbage for food. Wait, why is the supporting guy with the strongest boss in the whole story? Does he want the big boss to help him? She has the power to do it. But how could she possibly be that accommodating? Shen Buyu is the boss. I had been worried Inlan would have Shen Ryan retaliate against me. But after noticing the comments, I began to wonder, if I became close to Shen Buyu, would she help me out? He could not seduce the heroine, so now he is trying to seduce the big boss. The supporting guy looks sweet and innocent, but he has so many ulterior motives. I am dying. Does he not know the big boss is even harder to handle than the heroine? If he provokes her, there will not even be a body left. Those comments made me uncertain again. Unaware of any of this, Shen Buyu saw me spacing out and sighed helplessly. The next second, the strongest boss the comments spoke of leaned close. She gently pinched my cheek and guided my gaze to hers. An almost imperceptible tenderness shone in her deep eyes. Fangs you. Stop thinking about Shen Ryan. I pay you 10,000 yuan per meal. You should think about me more. Over the next few days, I brought Shen Buyu meals on time. Sometimes the assistant bought them. Sometimes I cooked them myself. Whenever I arrived carrying food, she would immediately set aside her work and eat with me. It was like she had paid for a dining companion. Before long, even the receptionist knew me. They looked at me with awe. I was puzzled, but did not ask. One day, I personally made a lavish meal, then eagerly went to see Shen Buyu. But the moment I reached the company entrance, I saw Shen Ryan apparently arguing with Shen Buyu. As I got closer, I heard Shen Ryan snap impatiently. Shen Buyu, what gives you the right to freeze my card? Taking a document from her assistant, Shen Buyu casually replied, Mother cannot control you, so I have to do it for her. Shen Ryan, have you been spoiled so much lately that you have become lawless? Shen Ryan never accepted being controlled and was about to argue further. Standing awkwardly nearby, I could only say quietly, Miss Shen, I will wait over there. The moment I spoke, both women looked at me. Shen Ryan's gloomy expression vanished when she saw me. She raised an eyebrow at Shen Buyu. My little dummy came to see me. I do not have time to waste on you. With that, she walked toward me. She took the food from my hands with a hint of disdain, but her eyes were bright. Hey, dummy. You are finally willing to talk to me. You have not come to eat with me for days. You did not even reply to my messages. You have gotten bold. The servant's food is disgusting. Without you, I cannot eat. She opened the lunchbox and happily narrowed her eyes. Did you make this for me yourself? All right, then I calmly took the lunchbox from her. Sorry, this is not for you. She raised an amused eyebrow. What? Do I not have the surname Shen? Confused, I did not understand why she would think that. Still, I said, this is for your sister, and I will not be eating with you anymore. After saying that, I took the lunchbox and turned to leave. Ruyan suddenly seized my wrist, frowning. What do you mean? Explain it clearly. The confusion in her eyes seemed genuine. I tried to hold it back, but still asked, did you see the security footage? What footage? You did not receive it. Ruyan thought for a moment. And Lan accidentally broke my phone a few days ago. All my chat history was gone. Did you message me? I gave her a complicated look. It is nothing. Whether Ruyan had seen the footage no longer seemed important to me. Ruyan's brow furrowed even tighter. It felt as if something inside her had gone hollow, filling her with inexplicable panic. I simply pulled free of her grip and said again, someone else will eat with you from now on. You do not need to message me anymore. I thought I had made myself clear enough. Soon, someone new would come treat her eating disorder. She and I would have nothing to do with each other again. With that settled, I could not help but feel relieved. So I stopped paying attention to Ruyan. I eagerly jogged over to Buyu. Our time together had made me less afraid of her. Buyu did not talk much, but she responded to everything I said, as though she could accept every part of me. I chattered away. Ta-da! Guess what I made today? Buyu took the lunchbox from me. She considered it for 2 seconds, then said gently, cola braised chicken wings. I was stunned. How did you know? You told me the day before yesterday that your cola chicken wings were delicious. I never expected her to remember something I had said in passing. You got it right. Then you can have a few extra. Buyu smiled too. Thank you for the reward, Lord Fang's you. I like it very much. As I went upstairs with Buyu, I happened to look down. Ruyan was still standing downstairs. She stared in the direction I had left, seemingly lost in thought. Over the following days, I attended class while eating meals with Buyu. One day, while doing a test paper in class, I heard my classmates gossiping. They said Lan and Ruyan had a huge fight, then broke up. In the end, Lan transferred to another school. I did not pay much attention and kept working on my test. As I worked through a problem, a classmate tapped my shoulder. Fang's you. Ruyan is outside looking for you. I looked toward the door. My eyes met Ruyan's weary gaze. She stood in the doorway, as if she would not leave until I went out. With no choice, I went outside and asked what was wrong. Ruyan stared at me for a long time before speaking hoarsely. Fang's you. I am sorry. I recovered my chat history. I saw that security footage. I was wrong to falsely accuse you before. I froze slightly. I had not expected this was why. The always proud Ruyan lowered her eyes and said softly, I broke up with him and had him transfer schools. Please do not be angry anymore, okay? At the same time, countless comments floated across the air. The plot has completely gone off the rails. Why did the male and female leads break up? I could not stand them ages ago. These 2 leads are completely insane. What did the supporting guy ever do to anyone? I said before that the supporting guy was innocent. You all said my mom was dead. Can my mother come back now? I have had enough of these leads for ages. If watching the supporting guy eat were not so satisfying, I would have dropped this already. So, what is the heroine's deal now? Why do I feel like she has fallen for the supporting guy? I stopped looking at the comments and sighed. Ruyan, I do not care about any of that anymore. Back then, I followed you around and urged you to eat more, only to earn an extra 1,000 yuan. I have already resigned. Your affairs have nothing to do with me now. Ruyan looked up and stared at me intensely. Only for money. Yes, just for money. Though, at the beginning, I really had wanted to get along with her. After all, without her, I might not even have raised half of Grandpa's surgery cost. So I could endure her bad temper and the way she loved making trouble for people. But one misunderstanding and false accusation after another made me question whether I could handle this job. Little by little, I grew tired too. The corners of Ruyan's eyes reddened as she asked unwillingly, then when you ran to the west side of town at night just to buy me pear blossom pastries, I answered sincerely, that was for money too. Luckily, you took one bite in the end, so my effort was not wasted. After that, in my desk drawer, breakfast, snacks, or fruit would always appear. Before long, everyone was saying Ruyan was pursuing me. When my teacher called me into the office, I only said earnestly, I am focusing on the college entrance exams. I will not date anyone. After saying that, I left the office. There stood Ruyan, her face pale. She was neither near nor far, and I did not know how long she had been listening. I did not look at her again and returned to class to study. A few months later, the college entrance exams ended smoothly. On the day the results came out, I was having breakfast with Buyu. When I saw my score was enough to secure a place at my target top-tier university, I excitedly threw my arms around the person beside me. Buyu, I got in. Buyu held my waist, her eyes curving as she praised me softly. Our little Zhu is incredible. Once I calmed down, I realized our position was rather intimate. She had practically pulled my whole body into her arms. Her low, gentle voice drifted into my ears, making my ears turn red. After the results came out, I also received a huge scholarship from the school, and Grandpa's surgery day finally arrived. The doctors and medical equipment were the very best. Still, I could not help worrying. Shen Buyu set aside her work and quietly waited outside the operating room with me. I held her hand, my palms damp with sweat. After what felt like forever, the doctor came out. The surgery was a success. He will remain hospitalized for observation, and if his recovery goes well, he can be discharged. At last, I breathed a sigh of relief. That evening, Shen Buyu went to handle some work. She told her assistant to bring me food. When someone knocked on the door, I thought it was the assistant. I hurried to open it, only to find Shen Ryan at the door. She was carrying several expensive gifts. Her reason was perfectly proper. I came to visit Grandpa. I hope he recovers soon. I had no choice but to let her in. Seeing that I said nothing, Shen Ryan awkwardly searched for topics to talk about. After a while, I walked her out of the hospital room. She stopped in front of me. A flicker of nervousness crossed her eyes. Thanks you. I have something to tell you. I looked at her, already sensing something. Then Shen Ryan said, I like you. Could you give me a chance to pursue you? Though I had suspected it already, I was still inevitably stunned when she said it aloud. Before I could answer, an arm wrapped around my shoulders. A cool voice spoke, get in line. I turned to see Shen Buyu, who was supposed to be at work. Shen Ryan's face darkened when she saw her. Nearly gritting her teeth, she said, I knew him first. Why do you get to be ahead of me? Shen Buyu's brow lifted slightly as she answered calmly. Maybe because I have never had an ex-boyfriend. Grandpa recovered well and was discharged soon after. Sometime later, he said he wanted to invite Shen Buyu over for dinner. He was an excellent cook. Though we lived in the countryside, the ingredients were incredibly fresh. In the morning, the chickens were still pecking at cabbage leaves. By noon, both chicken and cabbage were on the table. Fresh coconut was stewed with chicken. The meat was tender, and the broth was light and sweet. The ribs had been bought at the market that morning. By noon, he had braised sweet and sour pork ribs in a big iron pot. He also slowly simmered a clay pot seafood congee. The congee was thick and silky. The shrimp and crabs had been caught from the little river by the village. I had worried Shen Buyu would not be used to the countryside, but she adapted perfectly well. She even graciously ate a great deal. After dinner, Grandpa pulled me into a corner and whispered, When did you two get together? I scratched my head, my ears turning red. We have not. Grandpa was shocked. I have met plenty of people. That girl definitely has feelings for you. No matter what, Grandpa supports you. So just before school started, Shen Buyu and I got together. As I packed for university life, I ran into Shen Ryan, whom I had not seen in a long time. She seemed much thinner and silently watched me for a long time. Then she suddenly asked, Thanks you. If I had seen that footage earlier, would things not have come to this? The branches were lush, and the daylight was blinding. As I looked at her, I was dazed for a moment. For no reason, I remembered the night we first met. The dim yellow lamp glowed over the dining table, and we sat together. Despite her eating disorder, she had unusually finished the noodles I made. Back then, I thought Shen Ryan was actually easy to please. But later on, if she had investigated immediately when Lan had an allergic reaction, if she had not tried to stand up for Lan and left me alone on the street late at night, if the cake had not hit me in the head, I looked at her seriously and said, word by word, Shen Ryan, there are no what-ifs. Later, Shen Ryan went abroad to study. A more professional team treated her eating disorder. The butler quietly told me Shen Buyu had arranged it all. I was a little surprised. Shen Buyu sent her abroad. Before I could say anything else, Shen Buyu appeared behind me. She pulled me inside and sat me on her lap. Holding me like a child, she leaned down and kissed me again and again. Her cool, woody scent slowly surrounded me. As her kisses left me dizzy, I heard her say in frustration, she would not stop clinging to you. She cannot keep pining after her brother-in-law every day. Amused, I looked up at her. Hanging onto her, I kissed her back. Then I reassured her, Shen Buyu, you are the one I love most. Freeze. Hands up, everyone. I had just placed my hand on the white stocking leg of the young model beside me when I heard that familiar female voice. Terrified, I pulled my hand off her leg and raised it. I even shuffled another step away, afraid she would misunderstand our relationship. Shen Buyu froze for a moment when she came in and saw me. Then she stared at me with a dark expression. The young officer behind her saw me and called out in surprise, Fang, what are you doing here? I smiled awkwardly. The young officer's gaze kept moving between my face and the female officers. Over and over, the flames of gossip blazed in his eyes. At the police station, Shen Buyu sat across from me with a stern expression. She asked, tell me name. Your husband. Shen Buyu frowned. Be serious. Fang's you. Age 24. Mr. Fang, you were still in the mood to visit a bar this late. I thought you should be home sleeping. Shen Buyu said sarcastically. Sleeping alone was boring, so I came out for a walk. I said with an awkward smile. So you are saying you accidentally wandered into a bar, then accidentally touched the beautiful woman's thigh beside you? Brilliant detective work. That is exactly what happened. It may sound unbelievable, but that is the truth. There is nothing strange in this world, right? One final question. What else did you do? Seeing the murderous look in her eyes, I swallowed. Nothing, I swear. Absolutely nothing. I looked at the young officer beside her, struggling not to laugh behind his hand. My feelings were a tangled mess. Captain Shen, that is enough. Cut him some slack. You can deal with him at home later. Calm down. At her partner's words, Shen Buyu finally stood and headed for the door. Before leaving, she did not forget to glare at me. I had just stood up when the young officer beside me grinned mischievously and held the paperwork out to Shen Buyu. Captain Shen, please sign in the family member section. Shen Buyu shot me a fierce glare. She forcefully wrote her name in the family member section. The young officer looked at me with shameless delight. I read 3 words in his eyes. You are finished. Watching Shen Buyu leave the interrogation room, I tried to comfort myself. It is fine. It is fine. I am her husband, after all. It is not like she can beat me to death, right? 1 month earlier, while I was loafing around at home, my dear mom forced me to go on a blind date. At first, I flatly refused. After all, a man like me who only spends money and never earns it. Any woman who isn't blind would probably never like me. Why make trouble for myself? Besides, I only love money. Women only slow down my money counting. As for marriage, I had seen what happened to my best friend after he got married. He had to borrow money from me just to buy cigarettes. So the moment she mentioned a blind date, I firmly refused. No way. I am perfectly happy living off my parents. Why would I go on a blind date? Besides, your son only has this handsome face. I have got nothing else going for me. And I am only 23. What is the rush? Mom flung a sofa cushion right into my face. I was hugging my lazy pig pillow, about to return to my room and sleep some more. Look at you. All you do at home is sleep or order takeout. The Wang family's grandson next door is practically walking already. And you do not even have a partner. You may not be worried, but I certainly am. If the Wang family's grandson is so great, why not make him your honorary grandson? Why insist that I give you one? How is that the same? You little brat. My mom rolled her eyes at me, looking at me like I was an idiot. Fine. Whatever. I will tell that stunning girl the blind date is cancelled. Do whatever you want, I replied lazily, and kept walking toward my room. Come to think of it, that girl's family is worth several billion yuan. They are probably looking for someone capable. Someone like you, who only eats and sleeps, is probably beneath their consideration. The moment I heard several billion yuan, I quietly withdrew the foot I had stepped into my room with. I turned around, thinking I looked cool, then went straight over and sat across from Mom. I think it is time I pull myself together. Living off my parents forever is not ideal. This is a chance to challenge myself. I really should give it a try. Mom gave me a look of utter disgust. I am your mother. Do you think I do not know what you are thinking? Then, my dearest Mom, where are my fiancé and I going for our date? We cannot let her wait there alone too long. Ignoring Mom's disgusted expression, I said, for C's Cafe. Looking at the beauty across from me, I could not help thinking, Mom really knows me best. Shen Bai's family really did have serious money. She wore a kipao, decorated with a few scattered diamonds, which gleamed alongside the pink diamond at her throat. Under the sunlight, her dark green earrings shone with a crystalline glow. The blood-red diamond jewelry on both her hands swayed with her movements, glittering so brightly I was practically drooling. Miss Shen, with a family like yours, why would you come on a blind date? I asked her curiously. Only then did I truly notice her figure and features. Her thick, long hair fell casually over her shoulders. Beneath her elegant brows, her eyes sparkled with shrewd intelligence. Below her high nose bridge were soft lips, curved in the faintest smile. And what about you, Mr. Fang? You are so handsome, yet you are on a blind date too. The god of wealth came to me in a dream last night. He said I would find money when I went out today. And since Mom was pushing me to marry, here I am. Shen Buyu covered her mouth and laughed softly. I looked at her gleaming bracelet and liked Shen Buyu a little more. Mr. Fang, did you know I am a police officer? Staring at her bracelet, I lied. I knew. Then can you accept that my work keeps me busy? I nodded vigorously. It is perfectly normal for a woman to have her own career. Who says only men are allowed to be busy with work? Busy rich women like you are my favorite. I saw confusion flash in her eyes and inwardly cursed. Why did I say that out loud? I quickly waved my hand and said, I mean, women with ambition. I misspoke. Shen Buyu did not seem to mind what I said. We made our relationship official that very day. The next day, I met her parents. Her parents were pleased by my enthusiastic performance. A week later, with both families' blessing, we got engaged. Just 1 week ago, we officially registered our marriage. I was very satisfied with married life too. Before the wedding, Shen Buyu had promised me 200,000 yuan in monthly spending money. So every day, I counted money until my hands cramped. We were originally supposed to register our marriage sooner, but Shen Buyu had to go out of province to arrest a fugitive. That was why we delayed it until last week. What pleased me most was what happened on our wedding night. I paced outside our bedroom, unsure whether to go in, when Shen Buyu changed into her uniform and came out looking guilty. Sorry. My superiors just assigned an emergency mission. I have to get there on time. There are 5 million yuan on this card. Take it as compensation. With that, she left. I was left standing there in a daze. Once I came to my senses, I did not even change out of my wedding clothes. I drove straight to the nearest bank to check the balance on the card. When I saw that string of zeros on the screen, I jumped with excitement. Why did I get married so quickly? For the money, of course. I instantly transferred the money to my own account. Seeing the extra 5 million in my account, I was over the moon. Then I withdrew tens of thousands in cash, breathing in that intoxicating scent. Now this was living. When I got home, I excitedly counted money while waiting for her. As I counted, I thought maybe giving myself to her for money would not be so bad. I waited until after midnight, but she still had not returned. So I happily fell asleep hugging my money. The next morning, I woke to find her lying beside me. I instinctively scooted away. Maybe I moved too much and woke her. She sat up and looked at me in confusion. Then, as if sensing something, she looked down. I followed her gaze. Where she had been sitting, bright red blood had stained the sheets. We exchanged an awkward look. Shen Buyu apologized, looking embarrassed. Sorry, but this week might not be convenient. I did not mind. In fact, I was rather grateful. The longer we could put it off, the better. It was not like I married her for her body. Go take care of yourself in the bathroom first. I will handle the rest. Maybe I was seeing things. But Shen Buyu's face seemed a little redder than usual. She murmured, okay, and got out of bed. Then my phone chimed. I looked at the 2-100-1000- Yuan transfer. Is this it feels like to live off a rich wife? Please, give me more of this. For the next week, I voluntarily slept in the guest room. So far, I had seen her no more than 3 times. She was too busy. She went on missions every night and stayed out all night. Sometimes she would not return until the next day. Our schedules were completely opposite. When I slept, she was on duty. When she came back, she slept in bed, while I was already up, gaming seriously in my game room. So even though we lived under one roof, we barely ever saw each other. And every time we met, we only exchanged a few words before she rushed off on a mission. When I opened our chat, the messages were still from the night before last. Money-loving mutt, are you coming home tonight? Should I leave the door unlocked? Justice policewoman, I have a mission tonight. I am going out of province to make an arrest. Do not wait up. Then Justice policewoman transferred 200,000 yuan to me. I was delighted. A rich wife is a rich wife. Every word she sent was music to my ears. Question. As a man living off his wife, what is it like when your wife does not come home every day? What is it like when she sends money without a word? My answer. Please, keep it coming. She can stay away, but the transfers cannot stop. I looked at my phone 2 minutes ago, and Lan, who married before I did, had sent me pictures of torn pants, pictures of him with cigarettes, without cigarettes, and begging with a battered bowl. I deeply despised his behavior. He had the nerve to beg from me. But then I thought again. After all, he did not have a rich wife like mine. It was normal that he had no money. Thinking that, I immediately switched to my chat with Justice policewoman. Money-loving mutt, honey, please be careful too. Do not charge into danger. Think of me more. I will never admit I only cared because if something happened to her, no one would give me money. Henpecked husband and Lan sent me a message. Fang, send me 20 yuan. I cannot afford cigarettes. His message made me feel sorry for him. A grown man who could not even scrape together 20 yuan. Ask your wife for it. Ruyan will not give me any. She will even pull my ears. Looking at his pitiful picture, I could not help shaking my head. Marriage truly is a tomb. It had reduced this big kickboxing brute to such a state. Then again, if I had not married Shen Buyu, I might have ended up just like him. Before he got married, he took me out to bars and clubs every day. Naturally, he paid for it all. But after he got married, we had not gone to a bar even once. Thinking of that, I decided to use this chance to invite him out for some fun. No money, but I will take you out tonight. Yuan. And Lan instantly replied, where? I have no money, Fang. My treat. Send the address now. Are you not afraid your wife will pull your ears off? Afraid of her? I practice kickboxing, man. Relax. I was completely speechless reading that. He feared his wife, yet still talked big. Still, before we went, I had better ask properly whether my rich wife would be making arrests tonight. Honey, where are you making arrests tonight? This time was different from usual. She replied immediately. We are cracking down on prostitution tonight. A prostitution raid. Perfect. Those raids should be at hotels, right? They would not target bars, would they? Then I can go out and unwind tonight. My hands ache from counting money every day. Then be careful, honey. She did not reply this time. I guess she had gone on her mission. Money-loving mutt. Then I will sleep first. Good night. Then I opened my chat with Lan. The usual place. Green bar. Let us go. Inside the bar's private room, I looked at the flock of beautiful women around us. At first, I had only come out to relax. I only meant to feast my eyes. Then a girl only 3 points below my wife in look sat beside me. She kept calling me big brother and pressed herself against my arm. I might have been married, but I was still an untouched virgin. No matter how hard I ignored it, my body still reacted. Big brother, how is your body so fit? Can I touch your ABS? You are so handsome, big brother. Want to talk with me alone in a private room? Big brother, I have something in my eye. Will you blow it out for me? After the third soft brush against my arm, I finally understood why emperors throughout history stopped attending court. Even a revered monk from a temple would renounce his vows on the spot. One beauty's hand slowly slid down from my arm, past my chest and farther down. My morals had not slipped yet. Just as she was about to reach my groin, I hurriedly moved away. I swallowed and thought. I only came out to look. I did not come out to cheat. Looking is enough. Then I turned to look at Lan. That big idiot had a girl in each arm. Excitedly drinking the liquor a beauty held to his lips. I licked my lips. My gaze returned to the girl beside me. Seeing her tender expression, my hand unconsciously reached for the stocking on her thigh. Just one touch. I will not cross the line. I kept making excuses to myself. I had just placed my hand on her leg before I could savor the feeling, when the private room door was smashed open. Do not move. Hands up. Everyone. Then a group of uniformed officers stormed in. Hearing that familiar voice, I truly wanted the floor to swallow me whole, but I obediently raised my hands. Still unwilling to give up, I looked up. My eyes met Shen Bai's murderous glare. Though her face was dark with anger, I had to admit she was stunning. She seemed even more alluring like this. The girl from before instantly lost her appeal. There was no comparison. I meekly kept my hands raised, lowered my head, and nervously said, "Honey, I was wrong. And Lan hired those girls. I was just passing by, and he called me over to sit down. Really, I am only interested in money. Look, there are barely any women around me. They are all with Lan." Silently, I pleaded, "Bro, take the blame for me this time. You enjoyed yourself too. Anyway, I will cover all your cigarette money from now on. You have to cover for me. Officer Shen, I want to report him. He was the one who invited me out. You know I am henpecked. Where would I get the money to rent a private room at a bar, right? And I am reporting that. He just touched the thigh of the girl beside him. That bastard in Lan ratted me out before anyone even questioned him." I clearly saw Shen Baiu's slightly softened eyes turn cold again. "Honey, I only touched her once. Then you came in." My voice grew quieter as I spoke. Guilt left me too weak to say more. The other officers who had come in stood silently on both sides, watching the drama. Their eyes burned with gossip-hungry excitement. It made me even more mortified. What did it feel like to live off your wife and go out to unwind, only to barely get a taste of it before your own wife busted you in a vice raid? All I wanted was a crack in the floor to crawl into. I shot Lan a murderous glare, and Lan silently mouthed back at me. My translation was, "Sorry, bro. I am afraid my wife will tear me apart if she finds out. You should handle it yourself, and take the blame for me while you are at it." Seeing that, I gave my wife a pitiful, miserable look. The two officers beside us could not hold it in anymore. They covered their mouths and snickered. One look from Shen Baiu, and they fell silent. At the police station, after Shen Baiu stepped out, the officer assisting with the interrogation handed a thermos and said, "Fang, talk things over with Captain Shen when you get home. Captain Shen asked me to give you this thermos too. You are a man. What is wrong with letting your wife hit you a couple of times? But, Fang, you should put on protective gear first. Do not let our captain's fair, slender appearance fool you. She is trained in martial arts." The young officer shrank back as he spoke, as if he had seen something terrifying. "Sign here, and you can leave." Shen Baiu and I had just returned home. When Lan called me, I frantically tried to hang up, but accidentally hit the answer button. Worse, the phone fell to the floor. "Fang's you. Seriously? Did you not say Shen Baiu was on a vice raid? How did that raid end up at a bar? And you actually expected me to take the blame? What were you thinking? You were the one who asked me out. Ruyan said she is cutting my allowance today. If you do not cover my cigarette money from now on, I will tell Officer Shen all about you." Why are you not saying anything? Will staying quiet solve the problem? I blankly glanced at Shen Baiu beside me, then nervously crouched down, wanting to pick up the phone. But when she gave me a cold glance, I froze at once. When I saw her bend down to pick up the phone, I panicked and shouted, "I agree to everything. Just stop talking." As if he could not hear the urgency in my voice, and Lan just kept rambling on. "Is Officer Shen frigid or something? You acted no differently tonight than you always do. You were trembling just from touching a thigh. Do not tell me you are still a virgin, or are you impotent?" Hearing that, I looked at Shen Baiu and immediately retorted, "Impotent? Do I look impotent to you? I am terrifyingly capable. Tonight, I will show her what I can do." After saying that, I looked at her with no confidence whatsoever. "Then Officer Shen must not want you. You have been married so long, and she still will not let you touch her. Look, bro, you cannot keep indulging a woman that domineering. Go home and pin her to the bed. Pull out your belt and tie up her hands. Then you get to decide what happens next. I speak from experience, bro. That sort of thing between a man and woman feels great. Besides, it is good for both of you. I also heard Officer Shen is furious you touched that model's thigh. Watch yourself. Do not get beaten to death. At most, I will collect your body. Listening to him talk filth over the phone. Even the floor swallowing me would not fix this. At that moment, I truly wanted to end our friendship. I tried to snatch the phone from Shen Buyu and hang up. Then Shen Buyu spoke calmly. And Lan, right? Do you want me to tell Ruyan what you saw at Green Bar last night? The voice that had been going nonstop abruptly fell silent. After half a minute of dead silence, he spoke again. Officer Shen, I was just joking with Fangzi. I swear. Fangzi only touched that young model's thigh once at the bar. He did not do anything else. Brethren, you really should stop explaining. I had not done anything to begin with. But you are only making me look guiltier. Just shut up. I anxiously shouted at Lan's words. There was another brief silence before he said, Fang, you can explain it yourself. Then he hung up. Oh, thanks so much. I kindly took him out for a night of fun, and this was my reward. What was I supposed to do? Shen Buyu returned my phone without saying a word. She walked straight into the bedroom, took a box from a cabinet, and handed it to me. I took it in confusion and saw 2 words on it. Ultra thin. How was an innocent young man like me supposed to handle that? The box suddenly felt like a hot potato in my hands. I instinctively wanted to throw it away. Then Shen Buyu leaned close and whispered in my ear, Did you not say you were strong? Let me see how strong you are. With that, she shoved me into the bathroom. By the time I came to my senses, I was already inside. How could I put up with that? 3 minutes later, I charged out of the bathroom and pushed Shen Buyu onto the bed. My burning breath washed over her face, but my swagger lasted less than 2 seconds before things reversed. Shen Buyu flipped over and pinned me beneath her. She tied my hands with a belt, then placed them on her thigh. She leaned close to my ear and softly asked, Honey, is it nice to touch? I could not help rubbing twice, then said hoarsely, It feels good. Which is nicer to touch, my leg or that young model's? Both feel good. The next second, the coldness in her eyes made me realize what my stupid mouth had said. I sheepishly said, Honey, would you believe me if I said it just slipped out? Of course. Why would I not believe you? A captivating smile spread across her face. Honey, Captain Shen, please calm down. I am your husband. Murder is illegal. You cannot break the law when you enforce it. Shen Buyu tore away the only covering I had left. Her delicate hands slowly roamed over me. I let out a sound, ashamed yet overwhelmed by pleasure, while I was still lost in the pleasure of Shen Buyu's hands. Somehow, she had removed her clothes too. Under the lights, her body looked like a meticulously sculpted work of art, with naturally captivating curves. I could feel my breathing growing heavier. I could not take it anymore. I reached for Shen Buyu's slender waist. I wanted nothing more than to pin her beneath me and ravish her. But as if Shen Buyu knew exactly what I intended, she dodged backward, then casually cuffed me to the bed. I froze, then looked at Shen Buyu in confusion. Seeing her smug expression, I realized she was getting revenge on me. Shen Buyu, just you wait. I will get you back someday. I shouted as I struggled. You deserve it. We have not even been married a week, and you went to a bar like that. Tonight, you can just watch. Then she showed off her exquisite figure right in front of me. Suddenly, I felt the buckle on the belt. I looked at her calmly and said, Are you sure you will not untie me? No. What can you do about it, little man? Before her stunned eyes, I broke free of the belt in one motion, pulled her into my arms, and pressed my lips hard against her thin lips. At first, she tried to push me away, but once she came to her senses, her resistance grew weaker and weaker. In the end, we both gave in to desire. Ding, her phone began ringing. She pushed me away and answered it. A suspect escaped from prison? I will be right there. She hung up, grabbed her clothes, and left. Get back here. I roared furiously, but she still left. Divorce. We are definitely getting divorced. I cannot take this anymore. Who does that? I had just gotten in the mood, and she simply walked out on me. I waited until the middle of the night and nearly fell asleep, but she still had not returned. Once again, I slept alone in the bedroom. Not until I woke the next day and saw a bank alert for a 500,000 yuan deposit did I remember why I was here. Right? I was here to make money. How could I surrender to a pretty face? Maybe I should hold off on that divorce. My compensation for humiliation had arrived again. How should I spend it? Then I remembered that bastard who had called me last night. What? Officer Shen just abandoned you last night. Keep your voice down. This is a tea house, not a bar. I awkwardly looked around. When I saw no one was paying attention to us, I finally said, Your Officer Shen is seriously impressive. She could even hold herself back from that. No wonder people in public service are never ordinary. And Lan said it with a straight face, giving me a thumbs up. Screw you. Only a man like me would stick around. Anyone else would have run. You. Do you think I do not know you married Officer Shen for her family's money? Otherwise, you would have run long ago. You bastard. I was not just after her money. I got the woman too, did I not? And if I were not after money, where would I get the cash to treat an adopted son like you to tea? By the way, Officer Shen is not coming here again, is she? And Lan asked, glancing around. Hard to say. I do not even know where she is. I shrugged. Just then, someone rushed upstairs from below. He whispered to the table beside us. Come downstairs and look. A young couple is fighting in the street. The tea house was very quiet, so his voice was actually quite loud. At least in Lan and I heard him. And Lan and I exchanged a look, then got up and rushed downstairs together. And it was not just us. Nearly everyone drinking tea upstairs got up to head down. When I got downstairs, a crowd had gathered. I squeezed through to the front. And sure enough, a young couple was arguing. The woman was even about to start kicking. Then a sharp pain shot through my backside. I thought someone behind me had shoved into me. But when it happened again, I turned and saw a thief using a clip to steal my wallet. I kicked him hard. He crouched down in pain. But I was still not satisfied. I kept kicking as I yelled. That is for trying to snatch my wallet. Your technique is so bad. You pinched my butt instead. You moron. Two people rushed over and pinned him to the ground. They called to someone behind them. Captain Shen. We caught the fugitive. After restraining the man, the young officer looked at me. Recognizing me, he said, Fang, why is it you again? I looked at him in equal confusion. I had no idea what was going on. He was the criminal who escaped from prison last night. Shen Buyu spoke sternly then. Shen Buyu looked like a completely different person in and out of uniform, but she was stunning either way. Too bad the fugitive got away last night. What a shame. As I watched her serious face, she suddenly turned to me. Is there something on my face? Why are you staring at me? No. I calmly looked away. The young officer beside us said, Captain Shen, Fang made a huge contribution this time. Otherwise, we could not have caught the fugitive so easily. Come to the station and give a statement. Shen Buyu said calmly. And just like that, I had the honor of riding in a police car again for the second day in a row. Same old routine. Same old feeling. Name, Fang's you. Honey. Why not pull out last night's report and fill it in instead? We have only been married a few days, and I have already been to the police station twice. That is more than the rest of my life combined. The more I spoke, the angrier I became. I glared fiercely at the woman across from me. Shen Buyu replied unhurriedly. It means criminals are drawn to you. Every time I see you, some criminal seems to spawn nearby. I should bring you along next time I go on duty. Age, seeing how utterly calm she was, I lost all my fire. I answered listlessly. 24. Why were you there today? That question immediately perked me up. I stared straight at her and said, because I have a wife who loves raiding bars for vice, and I was afraid she would suddenly show up and raid another one. So I could only relax at a tea house. Somewhere so respectable. It could not possibly be more respectable. The young officer taking notes could not hold back a laugh. Shen Buyu coldly swept her gaze over the spectators and the laughing officer. Do you all have nothing better to do? Should I schedule you for patrol overtime tonight? We are leaving. We are leaving. Scattered voices rose from the crowd. The officer taking notes put on a serious expression too. All right, sign here, and you can go. Smiling, Shen Buyu handed me the report. After signing and leaving the station, that idiot and Lan called me, remembering how he ditched me the second he saw a pretty woman. I answered and immediately snapped. You asshole. You freeze up whenever you see a pretty girl, do you? Do you know I ended up at the station again? That fugitive tried to clip my wallet twice, and both times he pinched my butt instead. If you had stayed beside me, would I have needed to go to the police station? Do not panic. I got you something good as compensation. It is absolutely perfect. I left it at your door. When I reached my front door, I happened to see Shen Buyu returning. She picked up the package on the ground. I could guess that bastard had not sent me anything innocent. Just as I tried to grab it from behind her, she casually threw me over her shoulder. Then she expertly cuffed my hands. I did not even get a chance to speak. Once Shen Buyu saw it was her bargain bin husband, she curled her lips in disdain. Seeing that look on her face, what was that? It was blatant provocation. If you have the nerve, let me go. I will show you what a real man is. But Shen Buyu gave a wicked smile and said, a real man, huh? I will make a real man out of you soon enough. That an open box from last night is still there, right? Today, we are using all of it. The moment I heard that, I could see from her expression that she was not joking. I struggled and said, let us calm down. We cannot drain the well dry, can we? Take it slow. No rush. We need to pace ourselves. Instead, she slung me over her shoulder and threw me onto the bedroom bed. It is broad daylight. Captain Shen, you are a public servant. You cannot do this in the daytime. It is fine. Once I close the curtains, it is nighttime. Then she silenced me with her lips. When I woke the next day, I saw it was nearly noon. Looking at the empty box and the suggestive marks all over me, I gave a bitter smile. How was this woman so fierce? She actually made me use up an entire box. Both my kidneys still ache. After getting dressed, I stepped out of bed. If I had not grabbed the cabinet by the bed, I would have fallen to the floor. As my legs refused to cooperate, I could not help lamenting. A man's stamina may give out, but a woman's never do. From now on, calling myself a real man was not something I could casually say in front of Shen Buyu. I slowly made my way to the living room. Shen Buyu was coming out of the kitchen with soup. When she saw me hobbling, she laughed so hard she nearly spilled it. After Shen Buyu put the soup on the table, she came over and helped me into a chair. Do you not have work? Thanks to you for catching that fugitive last time. My superiors gave me a few days off. Watching her move about so freely, I could not help asking, do you not feel anything? Feel what? Seeing my pain expression, Shen Buyu smiled and said, only weaklings like you feel that. I am terrifyingly strong. I really wanted to stand up and declare that I was a real man. But seeing the excitement on her face, I was honestly afraid she would drag me into another round of pumping. So I silently took a sip of soup. Oh, right? What was in that package at the door? My hand froze halfway to my mouth. Then I answered casually, nothing, just some small thing. Then I will open it. The moment she said she would open it, I shot to my feet and cried, do not. But the soreness in my legs made me sit right back down. Shen Buyu gave me a wicked smile. Oh, you are that nervous? Let me see what good thing it is. It was too late to stop her. I could only resign myself and close my eyes. After a while, I heard nothing. I cautiously opened my eyes. Shen Buyu was staring at the contents with shining eyes. Let me see. What good stuff is in there? Shen Buyu's eyes and smile brimmed with seductive charm. With a mischievous grin, she handed me the package. The first thing I saw was a sticky note. I instantly understood that look on Shen Buyu's face. It read, uniform seduction, double the passion. I knew NGÓN had not sent anything decent. I looked up at Shen Buyu as she drew closer. Inside, I screamed, do not come any closer. Shen Buyu pulled me into her arms. She whispered in my ear, darling, should I wear my uniform tonight? I hurriedly waved my hands and said, no, honey, I really cannot. I have got nothing left. You really cannot drain the well dry. Did you not want to be a real man? You are done after just one night. Even if Ultraman Tigo were here, you would need time to recharge, right? It is fine. I am off for the next few days. We can take it slow. We will find a use for it eventually. Shen Buyu excitedly put the package away. Then my wonderful teammate, NGÓN, called again. I answered, too exhausted to scold him. How was last night? How did the battle go? Silently, I took a photo of the marks on my upper body and sent it to him. Damn, Officer Shen, is that formidable? Such a contrast. And she goes so hard. My dear son, should you not thank your godfather for that battle outfit that let you experience for the first time what it feels like to be a man, thinking that I would have to repeat last night in a few days. I roared, thanks to your whole family. You are a complete disaster. Then I angrily hung up. And so, a few more days passed under Shen Buyu's attentive care. On the night before she returned to duty, she did indeed put on that battle outfit, and without a shred of willpower, I gave in to her temptation. The next day, I did not wake until afternoon. This time, my legs did not feel like they belonged to me at all. I did not even dare get out of bed. Even going to the bathroom had to wait until Shen Buyu returned, with her helping me handle it. A few days later, I recovered. Bored out of my mind, I asked NGÓN to go out. By chance, we ran into my wife in plain clothes at an intersection. I knew she was on an assignment, so I did not disturb her. I pulled NGÓN away in another direction. Before we had gone far, gunfire rang out behind us. At the sound, I turned and sprinted back toward the intersection. When I got there was a pool of blood where my wife had been standing. Stunned, I turned to the pedestrians and asked, does anyone know what just happened? The passers-by told me someone had been shot there. An ambulance had just taken them away. I rushed toward the hospital, and NGÓN shouted after me, you dropped your wallet. I knew I had dropped my wallet, but I was more worried about losing my wife. When I ran to the hospital, I happened to see a gurney coming out of the emergency room, covered with a white sheet. In disbelief, I walked toward it one step at a time. How could you be foolish? Have I not always told you not to rush toward danger? Why did you have to play the hero? Could you not give the younger officers a chance? Did you have to handle everything yourself, leaving me all alone? What kind of accomplishment is that? If you come back to life, I will not even ask for monthly spending money anymore. I will give you all my bank cards. The officers under Shen Buyu came over to greet me. Before they could say anything, I said to them, your Captain Shen was reckless, and you went along with her. Could you not let her rest? Starting with our wedding. It was delayed because of an assignment. Even on our wedding night, we had to stop halfway through because of an assignment. In our first week of marriage, she was so busy with work, I could count the times I saw her on one hand. So, why? Just when I love her most, did this assignment take her away from me forever? I screamed at them, sobbing my heart out. They wore strange expressions as they looked at the perfectly alive woman standing behind me. Then, wisely, they slipped away. I heard someone say that if I stayed alive, he would give me all his money. Was that true? Hearing that familiar voice, I looked up and saw Shen Buyu. I sprang up and pulled her into my arms. I kissed her forehead fiercely. I asked what had happened. Why was there a pool of blood where you had been standing? I thought it was yours. You scared me half to death. Shen rolled her eyes at me. I had already left that spot. Only an idiot would stand in one place. Do you think I am just collecting a paycheck? That was the fugitive's blood. The body you saw was probably the criminal's. Could you learn some basic common sense? Fine. You can explain it to me later. Should you not keep your promise now? Hand over your bank cards. I set her down and ran off, shouting. I left the gas on at home. I need to go turn it off. 3 years later. Fangs you have got some nerve. You actually got your daughter to secretly hide money. Go stand in the corner and reflect on your mistakes. Shen angrily roared at me and our child. My daughter and I exchanged a look, then cast our spell together. Honey, I was wrong. Look, I married you for your money, but then I gave you all my bank cards. For someone like me, who loves money. There is nothing wrong with hiding a little, right? Besides, that hidden money was for buying you tasty treats anyway. Mommy, do not be mad. Daddy made me hide it. And I know where Daddy hid more money. I stared in shock at my precious daughter, Fang Ping'an. Only you and I share the same last name in this house. And you still betrayed your dad. Mommy, Daddy is being mean to me. Kick him out. Yes. Go stand in the corner, watching mother and daughter play off each other. I turned away and laughed. More than money, I love my family now. In a bad mood, I went speeding late at night. Who knew my newlywed wife, a public official, would catch me? I squatted awkwardly by the traffic police station wall, holding my head. Luckily, she did not seem to recognize me. She simply wrote up my ticket with icy indifference. I could not help calling out, honey. An auxiliary officer beside me burst out laughing. Oh my, if I remember correctly, you are the 29th person this month to call Officer Shen your wife. I was speechless. Who were all these people calling her that? Was my wife someone they could just call their wife? It made me feel like I was being cheated on. I glanced sideways at the calendar on the wall. It was only the start of the month. I had been married to Shen for half a year. Counting them up, we had seen each other 3 whole times. The first was when we got our marriage license and held a simple wedding. The second was New Year's Eve dinner. And if you ask about the third, it was now. After administering the breath test, the officer looked puzzled. Strange. You have not been drinking. So why were you driving so fast? Caught red-handed, I felt rather guilty. My first time speeding, and I got caught immediately. Because this poor guy was hurting inside. To win the sympathy of the men there, and get lenient treatment, I tearfully poured my heart out. What did I do to deserve this? My wife cheated right after we got married. She never comes home at night. I even have to hand over my salary so she can support male college students. The warmer she is toward college students, the colder she is toward me. The officers beside me were so moved that they became furious on my behalf. They all turned into righteous warriors. That is outrageous. Where is your wife? We will deal with that shameless pair for you. A small notebook came flying over. It hit the traffic officer from earlier squarely in the back. A crisp, icy female voice rang out. I told you to write tickets, not gossip at the entrance. A chill ran down my back. Oh no. Why did that cold, stern voice sound familiar? I looked toward the voice. A tall, long-legged beauty in uniform emerged from the office. Her face was expressionless, yet naturally imposing. She looked like Queen Medusa from Chinese animation brought to life. Her dress shoes clicked as she strode over. Every step felt like it landed on my racing heart. Instinctively, I lowered my head and edged closer to the wall. Caught speeding at night, I did not dare notify my family. I could only call my wife, the deputy chief. I hoped her connections might lessen the penalty. Deputy Chief Shen, what brings you here? The officer saw my wife, Shen approach. He politely stepped forward to greet her. Shen glanced at me. Then she turned to the traffic officer. His ticket needs a family member's signature. Correct. Where do I sign? Taking the officer's notebook, Shen quickly began writing. I looked at her with my most innocent eyes. To my surprise, she never looked at me once. She filled it out with a frosty expression. I thought she was only distant at home. I did not expect her to be even colder outside. No, not cold. Utterly indifferent. Still, I knew that was simply her nature. Name, my wife suddenly asked me, completely throwing me off. Remembering where I was, I obediently gave my name. Fangs you. Next, she asked for plenty of personal details, including my home address, and why I had been speeding. Soon, Shen stopped writing. From across the desk, I reached out and tugged her sleeve. Softly, I said, honey, of the 3 employees beside us, to choked on their water, and the other sprayed his out. Shen did not look at me. She took the form and walked to the opposite counter. You have some guts, kid. You actually said it. But give up. Director Shen was sent here from above. Her future is boundless. Besides, 29 people, have called her their wife this month already, and it is only the beginning of the month. Seeing Shen Buyu had not returned yet, the officer who had spoken earlier leaned close and whispered, "You know, our director Shen has a face that draws attention. Normally, she hates men trying to get familiar with her for no reason." He lit a cigarette for me and advised, "Brother Fang's you. Do not say I did not warn you. Keep your attitude respectful. She is fair and upright. She usually will not make things difficult for you. Wanting to be her husband is fine as a dream, but do not say it aloud." I took a deep drag. My rebellious streak flared up at once. I pulled a little red booklet from my car's center console. I flipped it open and thrust it before the 3 employees. "See what this is. It is a marriage certificate. Your director Shen is my wife." The 3 leaned in, and it was exactly as I had said. They grabbed the certificate and examined it from every angle. Their eyes were full of shock. They kept gasping in disbelief. With a cigarette between my lips, I leaned against the door frame. I watched the stunned, envious looks on their faces. My wife was the one issuing my ticket, and my wife was the one who would pay my fine and come get me. Just as I was feeling pleased with myself, the air around me suddenly turned freezing. A figure carrying a powerful cold aura approached. I hunched my shoulders, dropped my cigarette, and crushed it beneath my foot. I turned my head. My eyes met hers, gleaming like obsidian beneath long lashes. She slapped the printed document onto the desk. Pointing to the lower right corner, she said, "Sign." I weakly asked, "Whose name?" Shen Buyu's delicate brows furrowed. She looked at me as if questioning my intelligence. Only then did I understand. I quickly picked up the pen and signed my name. I signed with a bold flourish, then carefully slid the document and pen back to her. A young employee suddenly howled in pain beside us. I instinctively turned to look. It was that young guy from before. He clutched and rubbed his shin to ease the pain. Shen Buyu withdrew the leg she had used to kick him. She closed the marriage certificate and stuffed it into my hand. "Put it away. Do not take it out for no reason." Another employee jogged over and handed Shen Buyu the receipt. Shen Buyu stuffed the receipt into my hand as well. "License revoked. Fine. 1,200 yuan. I looked at her with innocent eyes. "Do I not need to be detained or anything?" Shen Buyu straightened up and met my eyes. A solemn authority shone in her blue eyes. I am 5'9", and Shen Buyu was 5'8". In heel dress shoes, she was as tall as me. But when it came to presence, I could not compare. Seeing my wounded, innocent expression, Shen Buyu finally said, "It has not come to that. Go home." I hurriedly gathered my things. Like an idiot, I asked, "Did you pay the fine?" Shen Buyu nodded. Several male employees around us began whooping together. Shen Buyu slowly turned her head toward them. The room instantly fell silent, and every one of them lowered his head. I followed Shen Buyu out of the traffic police station. Before leaving, I turned and waved to them, leaving without a care in the world. At the car, I put my hand on the driver's door handle. A soft cough sounded, and I realized my license had just been revoked. I shook my head helplessly. "You should get back to work. I will call a designated driver." The words had barely left my mouth when Shen Buyu opened the driver's door and got straight in. Stunned, I stared blankly at her. Shen Buyu shot me an annoyed glare. "Get in." I hurried around and climbed into the passenger seat. After buckling up, the car smoothly pulled onto the access road. The car was unnaturally quiet. When people were around, I could still make conversation. But alone with her now, I had no idea what to say. I awkwardly twisted my fingers together. "What were you thinking tonight?" There was a trace of accusation in her cool voice. It took me 2 seconds to process it. I was about to explain, but then I sighed. I had not seen my wife in months. I was upset. My head hung nearly into my lap. Suddenly, someone tapped my arm. She pushed me upright. I sat up nervously and looked at Shen Buyu beside me. She was focused on the road ahead. Her gaze was not on me at all. Confused, I asked, "What is it?" "Your seat belt." She was a woman of very few words, but I understood what she meant. My seat belt was crooked. After fixing it, I looked at Shen Buyu again. She was still driving with rigid precision. "I thought you were about to scold me." I had hardly ever spent time alone with Shen Buyu, but right now, it was only the 2 of us in the car. Streetlights streamed through the windows, illuminating half of Shen Buyu's face. Cold and breathtakingly beautiful. I suddenly blurted out, "I saw you kick your subordinate earlier. I thought you were going to hit me too." Shen Buyu glanced sideways at me, her expression calm. "Are you my subordinate?" For some reason, I could not stand the sheer stupidity of it, or how painfully dull it was. The only thing I could do was shut up. We arrived at the underground parking garage. After turning off the engine, Shen Buyu did not get out. "I told you before we got married that my work is unusual. I am often not home. You said you understood. I thought you truly did." Maybe it was because of her profession, or because she was a leader, but I felt like a student being reprimanded by the principal. I nodded to show that I understood. "I know your work is unusual. You often have to work late and travel for work." Shen Buyu leaned back in her seat with her arms crossed. She stared ahead, looking helpless. I knew I could not keep pushing this subject. My parents were nagging me about having children tonight, and it got to me. So I drove out to clear my head. To clear your head? You drove at 100 miles an hour. I shrank back and muttered, "It will not happen again." Shen Buyu seemed to let me off and got out of the car. We walked home, one behind the other. Once home, we each went to our own room. Normally, to people living together without speaking or interacting would feel awkward, but living under the same roof as Shen Buyu, apart from some initial awkwardness, I no longer felt awkward at all. After washing up, I went to the kitchen for some warm water. Shen Buyu was in the living room getting dressed. She put on her police cap. I froze. "Are you going out again?" Shen Buyu's long hair was not fully dry yet. I watched her button up her shirt. Then she glanced at me, nodded, and said, "Yes, it is my turn to be the duties supervisor tonight." As I watched her put on black stockings, I could not bring myself to ask her to stay home tonight. "You have not worked at the traffic police unit before, have you?" Shen Buyu said as she put on her shoes. "I am only assigned here temporarily. I will return to the main station soon." After saying that, she looked at me, then turned the handle and walked out. I watched her retreating back. Before long, all I could see was her car driving away, until she vanished from sight. It seemed that ever since childhood, all I could do was watch her from behind. In kindergarten, she comforted me when I cried. When I was in 3rd grade, she had already skipped ahead to middle school. When I started middle school, she entered the nation's top youth program. By the time I finished high school, she had already earned her master's degree. Can you believe it? Because she was so young, her parents had her continue on to a doctorate. Then she entered the elite government recruitment program. By the time I graduated college, she had already completed 2 years of intensive closed training and was directly appointed as a 2nd-level research officer. Other than kindergarten, when we attended school together, I never kept pace with her academically again. If our parents had not been lifelong friends, I probably would never have seen her again. No. Perhaps once a year during Lunar New Year. In my hazy memories, there was only her striking height, her devastating beauty, and her untouchable aloofness. I had secretly loved her all along, but I knew it could never happen. Until I became her husband, I realized it was not a dream. Only, as husband and wife, we were less familiar than roommates. The next day was the weekend, and my father-in-law invited me over for dinner. When I arrived at the Shen home, I found Shen Ningxu there too. Shen Buyu was exceptionally gifted. She left everyone her age far behind. But her younger sister, Shen Ningxu, was much more ordinary. She was equally tall and beautiful, but poor at studying. She did not even reach the average level. How did I know? I attended school with her from kindergarten through college. I ranked first among those admitted to our university, and she ranked last. The moment I arrived, she dragged me into a 2-player match. "Look at the state of you. Get over here and support me." I shook my head and refused. I rested my head on the table and watched her play. "What kind of guy do you think your sister likes?" Hearing that, Shen Ningxu laughed happily. "Relax. It is definitely not your type." I immediately kicked her. "Get lost. Speak properly." The door swung open with a click. Shen Buyu made a grand entrance with the aura of an ice queen. She wore a blouse, with her coat draped over one arm. Without her coat, her stunning figure was even more pronounced. Hearing her arrive, my mother-in-law took her coat. She pulled her into the living room. "Shen Buyu." I immediately sat up straight. She gave Shen Ningxu a faint glance, then casually sat across from me. My in-laws continued working away in the kitchen. I moved over beside her and poured her a glass of hot water. "You came too." Shen Buyu glanced at me. She lifted the cup, took a sip, and said nothing. Shen Ningxu, watching the show from across the room, burst into merciless laughter. "Oh, I cannot. I am dying laughing. This is her home. Does she need a reason to come back?" I was so embarrassed I could curl my toes. I had called them mom and dad so often that I had forgotten I was at my in-laws' home, not my own. I did not know why, but I always said thoughtless things around Shen Buyu. Thankfully, after embarrassing myself so often, I no longer cared. After a pause, I asked with concern, "Were you tired after last night's shift? Why not get some sleep first?" Shen Buyu set down her cup. She slowly relaxed and leaned back against the couch. Then suddenly, a fair, delicate hand reached behind my neck. It gently patted me twice, then slid down my back onto the couch. That soft touch made my mind go blank. I stood there frozen. "Call me when the food is ready." Shen Buyu closed her eyes after saying that. She left me sitting there on pins and needles, my heart racing, my face burning red. After lunch, Shen Buyu changed into her uniform and headed back to work. I followed behind and watched her get in the car. Before she left, I stuffed several warm tangerines into her hands. I picked the ones they call female tangerines. They are sweet. Eat them if you get thirsty at work. Shen Buyu raised an eyebrow, giving me an unreadable look. The moment turned awkward. Shen Buyu took the tangerines from my hand. That brief touch sent my heart fluttering again. "Go back inside." I nodded and turned to leave. Then I remembered something. Before she drove off, I said, "Make time to rest." Shen Buyu nodded and waved for me to go inside. Her car gradually disappeared from view, leaving me standing there, oddly empty inside. "She is long gone," still watching. Shen Ningxu tossed me a can of cola, and only then did I realize I had been standing there for ages. She came out to find me, opened a can, and took a sip, then sighed. I did not know whether I was asking her or myself. Isn't it strange? I used to rarely see your sister. Running into her once in a while was enough to make me happy. Now that we are married, we see each other more often. We even live under the same roof, but it does not feel like enough. I want to talk with her more. I want us to be closer. I turned to Shen Ningxu, who looked almost exactly like Shen Buyu. Do you think I am being too greedy? Shen Ningxu looked me up and down with disdain. She clearly could not understand how I felt. You two are legally married. You are husband and wife. You live together. What could possibly be inconvenient? With that, Shen Ningxu cracked open her cola and took a big gulp. And yes, my sister is a little cold, but she does not have a heart of stone. The fact that she agreed to marry you means she accepts you in her heart. If you want to become closer, you need time and the right opportunity. At that, Shen Ningxu gave me a mischievous grin. Besides, that fool has never even dated anyone. With a romance master like me guiding you, a little flirting, then she will be yours in no time. The more she talked, the more sense it made. I could not just wait for Shen Buyu to make the first move, could I? But I needed to know where to draw the line. I understood that too much could backfire. The next day was Sunday. I got to work in the kitchen like a man possessed. I packed up for dishes and a soup, then took a colorful, fragrant, delicious lunch to the traffic police unit. I heard Shen Buyu would be transferred back soon, but she was still at the traffic police unit this month. Before going, I messaged her first, so I would not make the trip for nothing. When I reached the traffic police building, Shen Buyu was surprisingly already waiting outside. I got out of the taxi. Shen Buyu saw me loaded down with bags and frowned slightly. What is it? I held up the insulated bag for her to see. I brought you lunch. I have the day off, so I cooked a few dishes and brought them over. I blurted it all out at once, giving her no chance to refuse. Shen Buyu did not say much. She simply let me bring it to her office. Only once we got there did Shen Buyu ask, "Why did you suddenly bring me lunch?" Looking at her cool, refined face, I pretended to be calm. I casually said, "Dad told me you have been busy. You barely even take time to eat properly. I am your husband. Of course, I should take better care of you." Shen Buyu had no further comment. Just take care of yourself. Then she answered calls, signed documents, and handled other work. I never saw her stop for a moment. Before long, she put on her cap. It looked like she was heading out. I hurriedly called out, "Have a bite before you go." Shen Buyu looked at me. There is no time. Share it with the others. I turned around and quickly opened the thermal lunchbox, filled it with food, and closed the lid. Then I ran after her. I caught up just as Shen Buyu's car was about to leave. "Eat this on the way." Shen Buyu paused, but she still took the lunchbox. Then I invited the others in the office to eat with me. The grown men ate with blissful expressions, lavishing praise on my cooking. Then they began gossiping about what Shen Buyu was like at home. The nerve of them. I had treated them to lunch to learn about what Shen Buyu was like at work. Instead, they started asking about my life with her. But she spent so little time at home after work. There was not much I could tell them. The young officer Shen Buyu had kicked on the night I was speeding laughed as he ate. "Brother-in-law, you have real guts. When Chief Shen is out on a call, only you dare tell her to eat. If we did that, we would have to write a self-criticism afterward." I traded information with the young officers, and we quickly became friends. We even exchanged contact details and WeChat. When Shen Buyu returned, she handed me the empty lunchbox. When I opened it, not only was everything gone, it had been washed clean too. As I took the initiative, our relationship steadily began to move forward. One day, Shen Buyu's colleague and close friend got married. She invited us as a couple. Was this not the perfect opportunity? Amid the clinking glasses, I said Shen Buyu had just finished a shift, so she could not drink. Then I boldly declared, "Tonight, I will take on 10 of you." Shen Buyu sat quietly beside me. She made no move to stop me, only watched me silently. Seeing Shen Buyu in a dress for the first time, I felt like a fearless outlaw. I picked up the decanter and drank the liquor straight from it. In the heat of the drinking battle, the alcohol went to my head. I brazenly warned Shen Buyu, "Honey, move back a little. Once the real battle starts, I might not be able to protect you." Shen Buyu pulled me down as I stood there shouting. She gripped the back of my neck and pressed me into my chair. The moment I met her stern gaze, my head cleared instantly. I ducked my head and laughed. "My mistake. I will keep it down." The corner of Shen Buyu's lips lifted slightly. She did not say another word. After that, I politely accepted every challenge. Before the second round even ended, I was completely lost. After all, at a drinking table, no one fears a loudmouth who taunts everyone like me. Without a word, Shen Buyu took my glass. She clinked glasses with each person who came to toast us and drained it. Her powerful presence sent them away as soon as their toast was done. But some people at other tables were bolder, drawn by Shen Buyu's icy, unattainable beauty. By a rough count, She drank nearly a pint of strong liquor. If the bride, her close friend, had not stopped her, she probably would have kept drinking. As the one who started it, my face burned with shame. I did not dare raise my head. Shen Buyu patted my shoulder. Fangzu, are you still conscious? Just as I was about to answer, an idea struck me. Was this not a perfect chance? I could use being drunk to get close to her, maybe even go a step further. I turned toward her, pretending to be dazed. I struggled to open my eyes and look at her, then leaned to one side, as if I were about to fall out of my chair. Although Shen Buyu had drunk quite a bit, she still caught me with lightning-fast reflexes. Seeing that I was about to collapse to my knees, Shen Buyu wrapped my arm around her neck, placed it over her other shoulder, and held it firmly. I slumped against her as she dragged me away. Shen Buyu got a room at the hotel. She took me into the elevator and brought me inside. She wiped my face and helped me out of my clothes. While she bent down to wipe my face, I pretended to be drunk and delirious, then hugged her. I called her my wife. Shen Buyu quietly answered me. To my surprise, she did not push me away. After holding her for a while, I felt the moment was right. Holding the back of her head, I slowly moved my face closer. I could feel her breathing grow faster. When we were only a breath apart, Shen Buyu suddenly turned her face away. She simply hugged me, leaning against her shoulder. I sobered up at once. At the same time, disappointment filled my heart. Do not act crazy when you are drunk. After saying that, Shen Buyu pressed me back onto the hotel bed. I quickly closed my eyes and lay still. Shen Buyu did not lie down beside me afterward. From the sounds, she seemed to make do on the sofa. She left before dawn. Lying there in bed, I could not understand it. We had been married for over half a year, yet we had not even held hands. Can you believe that? But the pressing question was, after being so forward last night, how was I supposed to face Shen Buyu now? The way she had pulled away left me mortified. By noon, I still had not shaken off last night's disappointment. Ring, ring. My phone rang. I was both hopeful and afraid. I picked it up and saw it was my supervisor. The company needed me to go on a long business trip. My supervisor was worried I would refuse, so he stressed the assignment's importance and the reward for completing it. What he did not know was that this assignment felt like a reprieve. Otherwise, facing Shen Buyu that night would have been a problem. I rushed home and packed. Less than 2 hours later, I was on a plane. After landing, I transferred to an old green-painted train. Then came a coach bus, then a rural bus, and finally a cart pulled by oxen and horses. My phone signal dropped from 5th generation service to 4th generation, then 3rd generation, until there was no signal at all. After getting off the plane, I hesitated. I called home, then stared at Shen Buyu's number, but I could not bring myself to call. As her husband, I should have told her about my trip, but I was too cowardly to face her. After what happened last night, Shen Buyu most likely knew I had faked being drunk. I had pretended to be drunk so I could make inappropriate advances on her. Forget it. The more I thought about it, the worse and more ashamed I felt. I spent over a month in a mountain village without even a phone signal. The assignment was completed without a hitch. Everything in the mountains was wonderful. Clear waters, lush hills, and blue skies. It was peaceful, warm, and full of kin-hearted people. The only bad thing was the lack of signal. I was completely cut off from the outside world. I could not help imagining that if I disappeared here, the outside world might never even know. They called it a farewell feast, but it was all homemade local fare. Mountain-raised chicken, duck, and lamb, along with their homemade sorghum liquor. It did not look like much, but it was the most delicious, heartwarming meal I had ever eaten. It would have been even more perfect if the villagers had not drunk me under the table at the end. As the alcohol sent me floating, I thought of that night at the hotel when I had been drunk too. My memories played through my mind like a slideshow. I remembered every little moment with Shen Buyu, from childhood until now. In the end, Shen Buyu and I belonged to two different worlds. When I returned, I planned to tell her the truth. I am not good enough for her. We should get divorced. I remembered a story. Before Nana became a Buddhist monk, he saw a young woman on the road and fell hopelessly in love. The Buddha asked him, "How much do you love her?" Anana answered, "I would become a stone bridge and endure 500 years of wind, 500 years of sun, and 500 years of rain, only to see her cross me once." I could relate to that. I did not want to become shackles that bound Shen Buyu. It would be enough if she spared me one glance in a crowd. A torrential storm is coming. A mudslide is coming. The shrill cries jolted me awake. I was staying at the village chief's home. He asked me to watch his grandson, then ran out to alert the others. It was still dark outside, and I hurriedly got dressed. The water level kept rising, nearly reaching the doorstep. I decisively grabbed the boy and ran toward the mountain behind the village. But the rain had made the path slick, and the ground itself was dangerously loose. We had barely climbed a few yards uphill when the entire slope collapsed beneath us. I felt the tree trunk crashing toward us. I could only grab the boy and roll downhill with him, carried down with the sliding mountainside. It was like riding a magic carpet. I could not just wait to die. if the earth beneath us gave way, the boy and I would both be buried alive. As the landslide swept past the nearest bend, I leaped outward with the boy. We tumbled into a cave. Nearby, harsh, violent sounds of crashing and tearing rang out. The cave entrance grew narrower and narrower. The village chief's grandson trembled in my arms. He cried himself to sleep, then woke up and cried some more. In my days, I did not know how much time had passed. A sliver of light came through the cave entrance. I struggled to open my eyes, trying to dig through the dirt and crawl out. After only a few tries, I knew it was impossible. I was just an office worker, and with only my pale, soft hands, there was no way I could dig us out by hand. Digging further would only drain my strength faster. Outside, night came. Then daylight returned. I began to run a fever. The little boy stopped crying too. Not because he was no longer scared, but because he lacked the strength to cry. I guess the landslide and mudslide had pushed us far away. No one knew exactly where we were. In the silent cave, I thought about many things. Would Shen be sad if I died? And how long before she found someone else to marry? 6 months, a year. The thought of her forgetting me, marrying another man, and living under the same roof with him made my chest ache. I wanted to cry, but only a hoarse sound came out. My throat was dry and raw. But perhaps that was fate. If Shen cared about me, she would come looking for me, right? My consciousness slowly faded. Through the haze, I felt Shen descend from above on a rope. She held me tightly in her arms, then came down again and carried me out. I felt safe in her embrace, and I could lean against her without restraint. If only this beautiful dream could go on forever. When I opened my eyes, there was only a fluorescent light on the ceiling. My whole body ached, and I could not summon a shred of strength. It felt as though every bone in my body had been broken. I struggled to move my fingers. Turning my head, I saw long, glossy black hair. Dry clumps of dirt were stuck in it, but they could not hide its beauty. I strained to reach out and brush away the dirt. The woman beside my bed immediately sat up. It was my wife, Shen, whom I had not seen in so long. A flicker of a smile appeared on Shen exhausted face, but she quickly forced it down. She touched my forehead, glanced at the monitor beside the bed, then looked at me. You are awake. Do not move around. Why was I getting scolded the moment I woke up? I felt so wrong that I nearly cried. Why are you being mean to me? Shen seemed a little at a loss. She took a tissue and wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes. I was not being mean to you. Do not move, or blood will flow back into your ivy line. How is that little boy? I changed the subject. Shen nodded. He is all right. They are keeping him under observation in a regular ward. As I watched her adjust the drip, I reached out and held her fingers. Her movements froze for a moment. Then she sat down and looked at me. I licked my dry lips. I thought I was going to die there. With her other hand, Shen pinched my cheek. Fangs, you have some nerve. You ran off to such a remote place without saying a word. If your mother had not called me in tears, you might really have been left here forever. I felt bad enough, but hearing her say it, that made it worse. Before I left, I did not dare message you. I was afraid you would ignore me. Shen looked at me in confusion. Maybe someone like her only knew the trouble of being pursued, not what it felt like to pursue someone. Maybe she thought I was being overly sensitive. But after surviving such a disaster, I felt it was better to be honest, even if it meant we might part ways for good. I took a deep breath and said, that night we were drinking, you would not let me kiss you. I thought you were angry, so I did not dare message you. Shen frowned deeply, her expression grave. It was the first time I had ever seen that expression on her. She raised both hands and cupped my face. When did I ever say I was angry? Or that I would ignore you? With my cheeks held in her hands, I could barely speak. I could only shake my head slightly. I mumbled, I guess you did not. Leave out the I guess. Judging by Shen reaction, she probably did not dislike me. I took her hand and kissed the back of it. Shen jerked her hand back as if shocked. Do not fool around. Shen pressed me back down and instructed. Do not move around, or your wound might split open. Why would you not let me kiss you? Is it because you dislike me? Now that everything was out in the open, I stopped pretending. I said whatever was on my mind. Shen stood and looked down at me. She said flatly, are you ever going to let this go? I struggled into a half-sitting position against the hospital bed. Do not change the subject. Do you not want to build a life with me? How are we anything like a married couple? Forget kissing. I have never even held your hand. Shen froze, then sighed softly. She still looked at me without expression, as if her face could show no emotion at all. Fangs, I am not a woman who takes such things lightly. If I disliked you, I would not have married you. If I disliked you, I would not have taken a helicopter here the instant I got the call. I searched those mountains for you for 3 days and 2 nights. Shen paused and turned toward the window. Only when I saw you were alive could I finally breathe easy. I have never feared any criminal. I did not even know what fear felt like until I could not find you. Shen voice grew quieter and quieter. It was the first time she had said so much to me at once. It made sense. She would not have married me if she felt nothing from me. But maybe I understood now. She was not cold. She just did not know how to express herself. In that moment, I wanted to say something, but I did not know what to say. Shen Buyu drew her gaze away from the window and looked at me instead. You were drunk on our wedding night, and that night too. I am 2 years older and have been through more than you. I need to take care of you. I wanted to argue, but everything she said was true. I want us to truly talk when you are sober, not only when you are drunk. The fluorescent light shone over Shen Bai's fair face. We looked at each other in silence. Looking directly at her, I realized she had more than flawless skin. She also had deep, luminous eyes, like Lake Baikal beneath the moonlight, and I slowly sank into those dark waters. Actually, I was not drunk that night, really. Give me a whole set of advanced math problems, and I could solve them. The corners of Shen Bai's lips curved up slightly. A faint smile touched her eyes. No wonder people say eyes can speak. Prove that there are infinitely many prime numbers p, such that p is congruent to 1 modulo 4. Shen Baiyu suddenly gave me a number theory problem. It completely threw me. I stared at her blankly. What did you say? Shen Baiyu's smile faded. Fang's you. I do not know how to sweet talk or romance someone, but a fair hand took mine. Its owner was staring at me. Once I make up my mind, I will not change it. Holding her hand, I leaned toward her. The distance between us slowly closed. I could feel Shen Bai's warm breath. Then a sudden force pushed me back down. My blood pressure shot through the roof. What are you doing? With the tips of her ears reddening, Shen Baiyu looked at the monitor. Wait until you are healed. For the next 2 days, Shen Baiyu cared for me herself. Only when the city bureau called to urge her back did she pack up and leave. Once she was gone, there was no need to keep acting like an invalid. Under Mom's disdainful gaze, I ate 3 bowls at every meal and left the hospital 3 days later. Those 3 days felt like years. I clearly remembered what Shen Baiyu had said. Wait until I was healed. The day I came home, Shen Baiyu had gone on an assignment. Looking at the empty room, my excitement and anticipation dissolved into a helpless sigh. I refused Mom's offer to stay and look after me. After briefly unpacking, I ordered takeout and played a game. But after 1 round, it felt pointless. I remembered a question I had seen online. Which matters more, your partner or video games? The classic answer was, playing with your partner beats playing video games. Sure enough, the key was the verb. After washing up, I grabbed my pillow for once in my life. I went to sleep in Shen Bai's room. Are all women's rooms this simple and tidy? A double bed, a desk, a lamp, a few books. That was all. But breathing in the faint fragrance in the air, I supposed it counted as sharing her bed. Half asleep, I sensed a figure moving beside me. Alarm bells went off in my head. A burglar was in the house. Shen Baiyu was wrapped in a bath towel. Tiny droplets slid from the tips of her damp hair. Most of her usual sharp, capable air was gone. In its place was a woman's alluring tenderness. I swallowed hard, but still reminded her. You said to wait until I was healed. The tips of Shen Baiu's ears visibly turned red. She reached out to turn off the light. I quickly raised a hand to stop her. No, we are already like an old married couple. Shen Baiyu seemed to be fighting a fierce inner battle. In the end, it became one sentence. You have just recovered from